Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to the Horseshoe Theory Podcast. Today, our guest, our most long-awaited, most anticipated, most requested guest so far is CJ the X. If you don't know who CJ the X is, in CJ's own words, CJ the X is an artist, philosopher, and dynamic glitch from a parallel dimension. They enjoy high-quality wine, literature, and music. If they can, they will discern the name of the god and speak it, instigating the apocalypse and reshaping the universe in their image. Their current mediums of choice are YouTube videos, music, and writing. In this episode, we cover everything from the future of the internet, how to break up your phone, whether you should pay for social media, the obligation to hustle and post on social media, Jordan Peterson for probably 50% of this, and 1,000 other micro topics that we dance around in this free-flowing and lucid conversation. And I just want to apologize in advance. There's some technical difficulties in this episode, audio quality issues with my microphone, and unfortunately the camera does cut out at the end, but we were coming to an end anyway, so if the ending sounds premature when you hear it, don't worry, we only had about a minute left anyway. Get excited, get ready, sit in a quiet black room with your undivided attention on what CJ the X has to tell you. This podcast is going to change your life.
I'm on a fucked up press tour right now, advertising nothing.
Advertising nothing?
Yeah. But I'm just going around to the shows.
Yeah,
you're the only white dudes I know.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm getting through all of them so far.
I
gotta do JJ's next.
Yeah.
That'll be out of white guys I know.
You're mowing through the white men.
Yeah,
mowing through
the White Man Podcast.
Yeah, press junket. Again, to advertise my upcoming project of nothing.
Nothing?
I have a project, yeah, but it's not for a while. So
Okay.
Yeah. What's going on? You were so high in withdrawal before, now you're doing a press tour.
I was gone for a year. I was experiencing intrapsychic chaos for parts of that. You were previously a Jordan Peterson fan, right?
Yeah, still kind of.
Yeah.
Not as much.
No, I'm definitely it's okay.
Oh, I got Twitter. I got Twitter, and that kind of ruined it for me.
That would ruin it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I started researching Jordan Peterson a year ago, and obviously, it's what happens is that things get out of control. But also it just became a cipher for so many things that concerned me. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's not just oh, Jordan Peterson's so interesting, he deserves all this time. It's that to me it's a lens through which to think about culture and attention and Twitter and social media, and just I started thinking about the last 10 years, you know what I mean? And does culture deserve saving, and do I want to be a subject of culture, which is sometimes the cost of being a culture creator, right? Or do I want to be a culture creator or a culture critic, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways, so it became a lot. So anyways,
That's a dichotomy very present in your work, the critic versus artist dichotomy.
Yeah. I think that's actually interesting enough. This is a product of my brother, probably more so.
Mm-hmm.
My older sibling is more chill than me, and does videos on movies and works as an editor, YouTube editor. You met Ben, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We
I didn't put together that you were related.
Yes.
When I met him.
Yeah. Me neither, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, we have different energies.
Yeah.
Mine's icy cat, and his is golden retriever.
Huh.
Anyways,
I was wondering if we had done a sibling reveal, CJ the X sibling reveal. Ben from Canada.
It's a cool detail. It's every once in a while someone freaks out when they hear about it.
Yeah.
But most of the time people don't care.
Okay.
Anyways, the point is, it's actually Ben's idea about the critic versus artist thing. From years ago, we used to talk about this all the time when I was just 17 or whatever. And but it was that a lot of people, especially on YouTube, they behave like critics, but they like to think of themselves as artists. And there is a tension, because sometimes you gotta, it's I would take it in the behavioral, which one do you behave as? What are you really practically, right? Because people are I'm an aspiring filmmaker. I was do you make films or do you make YouTube videos about films? You know what I mean? It's and it's that simple. It's not supposed to be that evil or anything. It's just knowing is useful. I kind of got sidetracked from something I was saying. I was trying to bring it to a point that would be interesting. You asked me what I was doing with. Oh yeah.
What researching Jordan Peterson for a year does to a motherfucker?
Oh man, yeah. And just having some interpersonal issues, just living life, right?
Yeah.
But so I went through it's so often that forces a line. You have a personal problem at the same time you have an intellectual problem, and a spiritual crisis at the same time as a mental health crisis, and they're just similar.
I had a period of a couple of years like that as well.
Is that, you mean the last 10 years or?
Well, it was a period of maybe a year and a half. Where
really? When?
2020 to 2021 or 2022.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good time for me.
Interesting.
No, I was struggling a little bit right
that was probably the worst time for me.
Really?
It was a illness with my family coinciding with It's schizophrenia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah. No.
New kind of intersectionality.
Can we take a moment to appreciate what's going on right now?
What are we appreciating?
We got Art Chad. We got CJ the X.
Too true.
We got Dreg, all in the same physical presence, which is important.
Physical presence.
Physical presence
Community.
is vital, and community is vital.
Yeah.
Were you on that before you met me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been on that. Actually,
That's good.
Kind of comes out of the mental health stuff.
Yes. Well, it's the only answer. Like, it's a natural progression. Also, I think it's like, what's the mutual, like, two people on other sides of the planet invent the thing at the same time. Like, cultural consciousness comes into awareness and focus of varying things at varying times. And, like, in terms of the people that give me hope in today, like, they're all having the same, like, physical space, bodies, community. You know what I mean? Like, a return to, like, sincerity.
You just covered that. If you don't make it, someone else will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Real.
It's super real.
Because the consciousness, what's what you're saying, like everyone's having these ideas at the same time.
Yes.
If you're not first to the punch, then people do tend to think like, oh, this guy came up with this idea, like, oh, Dreg made post irony. No.
Oh, who could possibly give a shit about that? I think that's funny. Here, let's get into hot water like immediately. But like, so H-Bomb did this copyright thing. So
who's H-Bomb?
H-Bomber guy. He made a 4-hour-long video called Plagiarism in YouTube. In which he takes down several well-known and several like people I had never heard about
Mostly
for
I've never heard
plagiarism.
about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways,
Including Internet Historian, that was the biggest one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like what? Anyway, so what do we think of it? Well, I don't know. I don't care. But but I was gonna say what I don't like about I think a lot of people started getting like random DMs of like, oh, someone said something that you kind of said before and stuff like that. I don't really love this like being precious about owning your ideas thing.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all because like I have people that like I see it all the time ever since I started YouTube. People use my joke formats, they use my ideas, they jack my steez with no respect on my name. I'm kidding. They all put respect on my name.
Yeah.
But it's like the thing is like I believe that and I do that because I think that's valuable, like outside of me. Like I want to see that. So when someone else is doing the same thing as me, it's like this is great. Right?
Yeah.
Because you value it, right?
Yeah.
And then also I think it's bad for like artists' mental health and probably bad for people's like businesses if they're like constantly kind of looking backwards to claw for credit for the previous works instead of looking forward and feeling confident about that being in the mimetic soup and trusting that like building more, I would just say integrity like in your entire like corpus of work and being your previous works will redound to your honor eventually. I don't know. So like
I
have my Tangled video.
Yeah.
In the outro of it, it's gonna get to 1 million views, right? I mean, like a lot of my videos are gonna get to 1 million views eventually. But that one's climbing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like everyone knows it. A lot of people know it. And then it ends with I sing like I See the Light, like the Tangled song. I like a cover of it, right? So that has always been copyright stricken. So I don't get much money from it. So it's like I can spend the rest of my life like you know what I mean? Like I could delete that and re-upload it and destroy like the beauty of my story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make it messier or just like I know that I'm gonna do better things than that.
That's a great way to think about it. I love that. That's sick.
Yeah, that's well said. You're so smart.
I know.
Because it's like
you have a way of making us feel like midwits. Like anytime you're like you just realize your IQ is not as high as it could be.
I don't know if my IQ is high. Do you think do you know your IQ?
vaguely.
What do you mean vaguely?
What do you mean vaguely?
What are you talking about?
I've done a few like tests.
Like online tests, like self-managed.
Yeah, but then there was one that was like the Mensa prerequisite test I did out of my own curiosity. I feel like
Mensa? Isn't that the thing from like
Mensa.
Mass Effect or whatever?
No, it's like the 130 plus club.
Half-Life?
Yeah, if your IQ
What's
is
that called? It sounds something
130 plus, you get to join Mensa.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I was just curious, but I have a vague idea.
Did an IQ test online.
Yeah.
Do you have any?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
What is high? What's normal and what's high?
Okay, so if you go by like university-aged people, like university-educated people in a major city, it's like 120. So 120 is like average. 120 is what you're competing at. The national average is 100, but that obscures for like, 10% of people have like IQ lower than 80.
Okay.
Which is like, you can't get it. Like the
That's
military
the Jordan
won't hire
Peterson
people.
line of.
Oh,
After-
that's
what are we gonna do about
80.
dumb
people? They're so dumb.
10% of the U.S. has fetal alcohol
It's a
syndrome.
problem.
It's a problem. These dummies.
End sentence. It's a problem. We don't know what to do about that. Okay, Jordan. I don't have a good Jordan impression, unfortunately. It's only nominally about sex. I can't do it.
instantiation
of
love.
I feel like you've basically peaked with the Jordan Peterson impression. That's all you need. I understand.
Yeah, I'm making the Jordan Peterson video right now, and I can't do the impression. And no, it's fucked up. I have a Zizek impression, and I can't find out where to put it in the video.
Do you have a good Zizek impression?
I have a perfect Zizek impression.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I have one that's this is Zizek. You know Baldur's Gate 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Zizek talking about Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, so it'd be like, there's this game, Baldur's Gate 3. This correct. I don't know this. I don't know anything about this, but there is this game. In the game, there are tieflings. This is a people that came from hell, and now they are in the druid camp. Now this is precisely the issue I see the American consciousness dealing with today. They want to see themselves as savior of these tieflings, but they cannot help but succumb to perceiving them as devils. So with that.
That was impressive. You
very
just
good.
turned that on.
Very good.
You just lost. I watched you lose yourself.
I got
there.
addicted to it. Like I started. It's fucked up because when you have something like that, it's like you're just in your kitchen making eggs, and you're like, the egg is a perfect example of the ideology present in our American households. And then you're just doing that, but it's 7 a.m. and no one's with you, and you're like, I should get a real job.
It's one of the tragedies of AI is the loss of impressions.
The loss of impressions?
You can just feed that into the machine now, and you'll get a.
Yeah, that's okay. I think the thing about impressions that people don't realize, and you'll see this with comedians a lot of the time, is like if you have who had a really funny one. Like Bill Hader is amazing at yes, impressions, but that's not the thing. It's that he frames impressions within a joke. So he had he'll do because it's not enough to be able to do fucking I don't know who's the guy the Werner Herzog. It's got to be like Werner Herzog ordering a bagel. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Because it's really awkward. You see sometimes when comedians are on a talk show and they're like, oh, I have an impression, but they don't have a joke with it. And they just kind of make some noises in the voice. And then it kind of ends and it's like,
Yeah.
It's like, it's got to be within a joke.
Zizek has to be talking about Baldur's Gate 3.
Zizek has to be talking about something to be funny for him to talk about in the words that he uses often, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so on.
Yeah.
Very true. The big picture of the impression needs to be there. Can't just be.
Yeah. It has to be contained. Like impression is this energy and form thing. It needs
Jordan Peterson describing the symbolism of the Burger King.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
that's what
there's
I'm thinking
great
about as well.
Jordan Peterson impressions because they figure out how to make what tits is order and ass is chaos.
Yeah.
That's the funny part.
Yeah.
It's not just
Exactly.
getting the voice right. The voice is the least important part sometimes.
Man, I know the death of impressions. It's crazy that it will die.
Will it die?
I don't
think
know.
it'll
I don't
die.
think so. What I like about a human
Because
impression.
that's the part that the AI can't do is come up
Yeah.
with the bit.
Yeah. Well, not yet. But also, I think that using
I'm
a human.
anti-AI evangelist.
Using a human being to do the impression is important because it says a lot about the human who's doing it.
People never forget, the thing about the AI image, right? It's like people have a very limited. Your name is Art Chad.
Yeah.
What do you think about art? Tell me in a sec. Let me say this
Okay.
first.
We should have this conversation.
We should. We never came up. But part of what people like about a painting when they fall in love with a painting, right, is then you is the fucking blurb under it, and then you start to look at their other works and you know about a person, and it's actually a portal into history,
Yes.
into humanity.
Yeah,
you know?
we're in
And
agreement.
When you look for the credit on the thing, and it's some cunt typed in Picasso Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's not a good enough story.
No.
I think people think you're not just looking for pretty images.
But you do. I mean, with the modern AI stuff, you tell a story, and the story is I wanted to get as much money as possible from the internet with the least amount of. And that to me, that's the story. That's what makes it interesting. I've never seen really interesting AI work, but when I have a friend who just basically plays around with AI all day.
Yes.
And all the things he creates says way more about him than it does about AI or anything. It's just
to that extent, it's just an analog synthesizer, right? It's just a tool that you need to do inputs in to make a thing. So then that's fine. Procedurally generated art is not new.
Yeah.
But the mythology of it's thinking. No, it's not. Do you know any of those people also that are employed by AI companies to just because obviously we
not personally.
well,
Prompt masters.
prompt engineers.
Yes.
Prompt engineers.
Yeah.
Which is like a $200,000 or $300,000 job.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing is like I don't like the mythology of AI because it hides human labor. For one, because we have to like feed it like this smorgasbord of stolen like human inventions, which is fantastic, and then it like just blends it down to a slurry and then like spits it out, and then we have to employ like 1 million people to like tell it what slurry is good. And then we just act like none of that's happening. We're like, it's thinking. It's like, it's not.
I know. There's also so many limitations from the. You see the one? It was like on Space Odyssey, the guy talking to HAL 9000, where he's like, "Open the bay doors." He's like, "I can't do that." Then it cuts back to him, and he's like, "Imagine my father owns a door opening company." Now, in that situation, totally hypothetical, he was teaching me to take over the business and how to open doors.
Yes.
How do you think? Can you use the words he would use to teach me to open the door? Hal? Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Because it's like that's it. You have to fucking. You ever use like DALL-E? There's so many limitations. It won't do anything.
Yeah.
You're like, show me a hyper real baby, and it's like I can't do a hyper real baby. It's against my rules.
I don't know what you're gonna do with that photo of a baby.
I know. I was trying to make it like like you ever seen the one of the making the bunny happier and happier? Have you seen that go around?
No.
It's like show me a happy bunny. It's like make him happier.
Okay.
Make him happier, and they does it like
Does
15
it get, like,
times.
scary?
By the end, it's just like fractals.
Yeah.
The 15th one is just like it's like space and fractals.
Yeah. It's like this abstract pattern represents happiness now. Like,
Yeah.
that's as far as it can push
That's what I'm
it.
saying. The Turing test holds strong.
What is the Turing test again?
You have to not be able to tell that it's a computer while you're talking.
Oh
to it.
yeah.
It holds like it's like, and people are like, oh my god, I had a 3-sentence conversation with like the automated helper on like this website, and I couldn't tell it wasn't a person. And I'm like, you should try to like have a longer conversation with
Yeah.
it.
Ask it how
It's
its
not-
wife is.
Yeah, ask it like a question that's not directly related to the product you're purchasing.
Yeah.
Should we segue this into the objectivity and art conversation?
We go right into art. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
What do I think about art?
Well,
Talk-
I want to
talk
make
to
I
me.
want to make a case for why it's a little subjective art.
Okay.
When I get to know an artist,
Yes.
I love their work much more because I know them better.
Yeah, me too. You're
Um,
demisexual, basically.
I'm like demi-romantic or something. I don't know. And like so there's a lot of my friends whose work I wouldn't really like. I wouldn't seek out and find on my own, but because I know them and I love them.
Yes.
I love their work as
Yeah.
well, and I want to see them succeed. And like I become like their biggest fan, basically.
Yeah.
And that's all because they're in my group. Like
Yeah, for
they're,
sure.
They're in my consciousness as someone that I want to see succeed.
Yeah.
And that is not objective at all.
No.
It's because I know them and I love them.
No. Yeah. What are your hot take? Why are you called Art Chad? Like, do you study art? Do you like art?
Yeah, I went to art school.
Art.
Art.
Where?
Art.
Art. NASCAD.
He also,
Halifax.
he also works at the Carbon Bar.
The Carbon Bear.
The Carbon Bar.
Oh.
Park your car at the Carbon Bar, and he does art.
Wait,
he
the
does
Carbon
art.
Bar. They have like they sell a lot of meat.
Yeah. Bartender there.
I was thinking of taking someone out there, and I was looking at their menu. I was like, this is the most meat I've ever seen on
Oh,
a
yeah.
menu in my life.
A barbecue joint.
Yeah.
Everything is just like
It fits well with his personality of eating meat all the time.
Do I have to dock? I feel like I have to flirt that I just doxed myself where I work.
Oh.
If people come in, they're gonna kill me.
Nah, you're fine.
you're not that famous.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It could change.
By the time that you're famous enough for that to be a problem, you can quit the Carbon Bar.
He can quit the Carbon Bar now. He just doesn't wanna.
I don't want to.
Do you,
Let's
make,
leave
do you
it.
make money online?
Yeah. It's actually it's
Enough?
It's come
Recently.
Recently, it's
Recently.
it's come much faster than I thought it would.
What
no-
changed? What
What
where's it
changes?
coming from?
I moved to Toronto now.
AdSense and sponsorships.
Okay, yeah.
Between that, like
Yeah.
I'm just surprised how fast I'm making a significant amount of money online.
Yeah, it's possible to monetize this shit.
But even like 50K subs, I make.
You have 50K subs?
At 50K subs, I just make way more than I
See,
thought I would.
you had like the first time I met you, you had like 2,000, and you're like, I'm not gonna drink till I have 100,000. Is that right?
Yeah,
Have you
I
drank?
started drinking again.
You
Yeah,
started drinking again?
Yeah.
I'm glad we can be open and honest about this one.
yeah.
We had a deal where if every time you drink, you have to pay me twice as much money so that he wouldn't
That's
drink.
so fucking funny. I love these convoluted ways you're trying to stop drinking, and it's,
I
not,
lo- I
and
lo-
it's not working because life finds a way.
Yeah, I lost the plot on that.
Yeah, he gave me the excuse of like I've disassociated into who I was before. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
You're like Drake.
I was actually.
I am Art Chad from the past.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have not yet developed my moral
What was
compass.
going on there? You wanted to like have who you were before for a brief period of time before I came back and you returned to being like an influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Huh?
Yeah.
Say that again.
We should talk about this. I was like, this is probably something we should never bring up. But I mean,
brought
what was
wine,
going through your mind at that time?
Okay, identity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
how you see
I'm always
yourself.
saying that.
It's going away.
Well, no, I just said identity. Just
Identity.
that.
Just
Identity.
I
So
tell
true.
people that all the time.
So you see yourself like, you try to find yourself, and then there was this point where I was like super quiet indoor boy, And then when I was like 20, I was like, I need to get super extroverted. So I started like partying all the time, became like a frat boy.
Is that because you read 12 Rules for Life or some other reason?
Kinda.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's all connected.
And then, yeah.
Do you have the book here? Could I borrow the book?
It's somewhere on this shelf.
Yeah, it's right there. Do you
Right
want
up there. Under the nice little cat
Yeah, I
keychain.
saw you had your nice hard copy version of it last.
Right next to Ayn Rand and Atomic Habits. Psh.
I don't know what Atomic Habits is.
It's a self-help book.
He has Zizek too. It's not just Jordan Peterson and self-help and Ayn Rand.
Yeah, but then I started like partying a lot, and then when I came here, I got really into like, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna work for the rest of my 20s. I'm just gonna like work 60 hours a week, and I did that for like 3 months straight, like nonstop, like worked day and night for like probably 80-hour weeks, and then
Jeez.
after I got like a huge boost on YouTube, and I got a bunch of money, and then for the entire month of December, I just like went on a huge bender,
Yeah.
like nonstop, didn't do a single video,
Well, this
live
is-
stream,
hold
didn't
on.
post anything,
Then
just
you reap the rewards of
like
your labor.
like 5 a.m. house parties every night for a
what's,
month.
What's also important to note here is this is briefly after he released a video that got age restricted and didn't get as many views as he wanted.
I had
So-
5 videos in a row, got 100K, and then this one got age restricted and got 10.
It's
So did you have like a cascade of like despair?
I think
Like
so.
disappointment?
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't
he
think
did.
cognitively at the time I wasn't like thinking that, but then
in retrospect, the algorithm totally makes you bipolar.
Yeah.
And I see this with everyone who comes to the studio. You know, if you're used to getting 1 million views, you can get 10K. Duncan Clark. It messes with your psychology.
It does something to your mind.
Yeah.
That's why I all of 2022 mostly I just like lowballed it on purpose. This part when I started making like subjectivity and art and like I did that random water video. I was just like under my mark on purpose. I was like, fuck you,
Yeah.
fuck you, fuck you. It worked. It did wonders for my career.
In your against analytics piece, you said you say you try not to look at the analytics.
You read my essay?
How do you not look at it though? Like
I just don't.
But when you check your channel, you see how many views everything gets.
Oh, okay.
It seems impossible.
Some analytics are good to look at, which is there's two things. And Jenny Nicholson did the exact same thing on ProZD's podcast, and I admire Jenny Nicholson and emulator all the time. You know, whether or not she would condone of that comparison, I fucking know. But I just try to give people the advice because she's just the best. So, but it's some things matter, right? Like I care about how many views a video gets. That's a relevant statistic.
Yep.
If people look at it, right?
Yeah.
If the comments all hate you or not, that's also interesting to note. I would also differentiate between like deep reaction and shallow reaction though, because sometimes people get really caught up by the shallow reaction. I don't blame the frame all, by the way. This is all human psychology, systemic issues, I think, with online spaces. But the shallow reaction, someone could be like, "You're a bitch," you know what I mean? But if you look at the deep reaction, it's like no one's really mad, right? You know what I mean? You can tell the difference between people that are just kind of half clicking on your thing that are mad at you right now are gonna forget it by the next video you put out, or like the things that are actually people might remember this, like you've kind of made something known about yourself. I don't know.
yeah.
So okay, so it's vaguely people's reaction, the view count, and then I check how much money I make on AdSense because I plan my finances.
Yeah.
Or I want to plan I don't plan my finances. But I pretend I do. I want to know how much money
me
I make,
too.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what Jenny Nicholson said. Same thing. It's like, you know, care about how many views I get and how much money I make. That's all I look at, right? The rest isn't really relevant. But like, it paints its own mosaic for you. If you just and against analytics, the point is like interpret it for yourself and don't listen to their interpretation packaged for you, trusting that this is somehow objective. It's the same like it's the AI mythology. It's like they're getting something out of it. They're fucking exploiting you by you buying into this thing that like here's the science. It's not the fucking science for anything unless you're explicitly running a business to maximize profit for YouTube. At which point they will share some profit with you. But if you want to make a career that's like for you, you got to play a little more human. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause, like,
Absolutely.
So when people get wrapped up in this, like, so I think it's good to train your audience and train yourself on like, you're not trying to get clicks on every video and to sometimes get lower on purpose and familiarize yourself with that feeling, right? I don't know the difference, I guess. I don't know.
At least you know what to expect then.
Well, you're not like allowing yourself to get like people don't notice when they've hopped on the treadmill. People don't notice when they've been like so classically conditioned heroin water and orgasm button for the rat. Like you're just locked in a kind of like hallucinatory psychosis where you've melded into the consciousness of YouTube and it owns you, it possesses you, and you think it's on your side while you're winning, and then as soon as it takes it away, you feel crushed because that feeling you had that made you go on a bender. That's the feeling that's going to make you try to make the most clickable content possible. And that's what's going to get you value captured into being a right-wing reactionary because YouTube
that's a
loves it.
JJ point.
It's true.
Yeah.
JJ's 100% correct about this.
Yeah.
About like value capture in audience work. I mean, I know it through CT Nguyen, that's a games philosopher, but I like how JJ articulated it for pundits too. I really liked it. Actually, that's kind of the first time I ever like recently like like ideology ever meant anything to me. It's something I kind of realized that, at least I'll just put it in this way. Like ideology is like the cloud of kind of beliefs that you have to hold to stand in line with vague coalition of people. I don't even know if it's a useful word, except for sometimes people have ideologically predicated careers. And that's very clear in that it's against Ben Shapiro's financial interest at this point to take political stances that are not right wing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's terrible, right? Like that's sad. Like,
yeah, it is super sad.
and of course that's true for like the biggest leftist creators too. Like their business and their career is predicated on not changing their mind. That's not good.
It's quite ironic, I think,
you don't want to earn money for that.
when they do change their mind, everyone calls them a grifter because it's actually the worst thing they could do for their finances.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. To stay ideologically pure is an incredibly lucrative affair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I feel like things change so fast.
From what to what?
To everyone being so ideological. Like
You
there's
think
just
so?
I think so. Yeah. I feel like things weren't this way like 20 years ago. Like
That's true.
A
Yes.
bit, but now it's like no one will talk to each other or change their position at all, or even like entertain any idea from other side. I think I can only think of like very few people who do that, who are kind of like walk the line.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Destiny a little bit.
I mean, he's ideological for sure, but
He's ideological,
he's
but
also a little
I don't know, but
idiosyncratic.
ideological is a weird word because at that point it's like you're just talking about the things that someone believes.
Yeah.
Right? And so like there's this thing where it's like the inversion. I call it. It's a pet theory of mine. It's called the inversion of significance. No one likes it, but I like it, so I say it all the time. But the idea is like if something becomes like a kind of like so ubiquitous, it's not the Frozone. It's the syndrome thing. It's like if everyone's superpowered, no one is kind of thing. And it's like if so in art, it's like okay, so nothing's perfect. Okay, well then at some point that concept ceases to have relevance because we use perfection as a concept in our lives. So that means at least we live on like a gradient rapidly approaching zero without touching it. And then anyway, similarly, if it's like, oh, everyone's ideological, I'm like, well then like can we just stop talking about this? This is the thing though. It's like I understand, listen, it's the phone's fault, but I also understand people need to go through things and like think about them to come out the other side and sometimes like return home. The reason I'm saying is because I myself also am not like, I don't know if I intrinsically value like you got to hear people from the other side and like, you know what I mean? Like the nature of democracy obviously has been kind of like theoretically emotionally called into question because of social media. It makes sense too because social media is like a plague of democracy. It's like the worst thing about democracy, right?
Yeah.
Is like you can like democratically be horrible, you know what I mean? And like maybe like it's not right for everyone to have an equal say in everything because people have different kinds of expertise and knowledge and like I don't know, like you don't want mob justice.
Comrade CJ.
Is it camaraderie?
It's like a state's communist vibe.
Yeah. Everyone
It's
feels
authoritarian.
this way. Yeah, well you don't want like I don't want you to be my healthcare provider.
Right. I'd be a great healthcare provider. I tell you to fast 9 days a month. Did you fast? You fasted for 3 days?
Oh, not on purpose.
Did you actually fast? Did you drink
no,
water?
it was kind of like
self-harm.
basically.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like I drank a lot of alcohol, and then there was probably like a panic.
Not a fast. No, that disqualifies you.
And there was probably like a panic apple at 3 a.m. kind of thing, and that
disqualified.
Yeah. But that was my I had a depression. I did struggle eating through for a while.
Yeah.
There, I had a rough month or two.
I fast. It's terrible.
On purpose?
Yeah, on purpose, all the time. I did a 9-day fast in Vancouver.
Fuck. I hate discipline. I hate when people have discipline. It makes me so intimidated.
I have to do it because otherwise I'll kill myself.
Yeah, because cold showers and stuff like all these things that like I'm like you do it just because you should do it, not because you feel like doing it. And I'm like I can't do anything that I don't feel like doing.
No, I feel like
I'm
doing
just
it.
morally lucky that I feel like doing awesome shit all the time.
But I think it's interesting that your body kind of didn't want to eat food because the only good thing for my mental health is not eating food, like intentionally.
That's interesting. It's not my body. It's the not eating food. I don't know if it was self-harm. It's like I have a difficult relationship with food. You know, that's
Okay, well then I can't encourage you to fast because I made a deal.
No, it's not like anorexia. It's just that I don't want to like eat it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right. It's
like I'm really emotional about my taste sense. There's something I was gonna say about democracy.
You were on a democracy tangent, and I'm trying not to derail quite as much as I normally do.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was saying about democracy.
You were definitely saying something about democracy.
So what I find necessary, this is through my philosophical research, and it's been intense. I meant it, right? But I'm rediscovering the value and the necessity and inevitability of democracy in some sense, right? Which it seems crazy to advocate, like, I'm pro-democracy.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird because that's so, like, agreed on in some sense.
Yeah.
But I think, like, in our hearts, we forgot, like, what's the point, right? Robert B. Talese is a professor, puts it nicely, Vanderbilt University. Him and Scott Aiken, I got to have conversations with them, available on my Patreon behind a paywall. Money And anyways, Robert B. Talese says in his Problems About Democracy, he's like, there's two paradoxes of democracy immediately on the face of it, right? It's like, because you have these two commitments. One is you need to, respect the voice and opinions and shit of your fellow man. It's like everyone gets a say. So that's one thing. And then you have another commitment, which is you need to try to like use your voice to make justice happen. The thing is, those are obviously in conflict, like all the fucking time, because like you need to strong arm people to make justice. So there's this really intense commitment that we have to like make to like these contradictory principles. Like you have to believe in this thing, and it's quite the proposition, right? I think that people don't really agree with it oftentimes, again, understandably, maybe because social media made it look so bad, and it doesn't feel, I don't know, there's something about it, doesn't feel, I don't like because you start to worship democracy at the expense of justice, and it feels wrong sometimes, right? And you notice it with podcasts actually a lot of time, like people like end up like worshiping the concept of conversations, worshiping the concept of opinions, right? And then it's like, should we allow everyone a seat at the table? You've heard all this, right? Where it's like, maybe there's people you shouldn't debate, maybe like whether or not trans people should be allowed to fucking exist, right? I don't consider that a very worthwhile debate subject. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to have conversations with people that can't, you know what I mean? Commit to that. But anyways, so the way I'm coming back around to it though, strangely, is like, almost like, I don't know how to say it. It's like democracy is like a skill. It's like a thing you do. You know what I mean? It's like to appeal to. Well, this is you get to my shit, right? It's like to appeal to like rhetoric and beauty instead of like force and like justice. I know that seems strange, but that's where I land. As like art is the answer. It's like you need to prove things more beautiful than other things, and like maybe stop diagnosing and having conversations about the conversation, right? And so that's why I come to pragmatism and utility, right? It's like I could say like, oh, is destiny ideological? That's what set me off, right?
Right.
And it's like, what's this? Who's this for? What's this?
Yeah.
Because like at some point, you're doing this thing where you're having the conversation about the conversation, accusing each other of being ideological. At some point, like your hand on top of the other hand, and at some point your hands are on top of each other at the top of the sword, and then you just have to have a conversation. So I'm like, maybe we should just understand the game of conversation and just do it. Like try to do it, and remember that it might be worth doing even if you both go home and disagree with each other. Because it's not about like, oh, maybe they have a point, maybe they have a point. It's like you gotta just have the conversation, otherwise we're fucked. I don't know.
So we've come back to have the conversation and debate.
Democracy.
That's what I gotta say.
Speaking as like vessels of truth rather than speaking as an ideologue. Like you're both just gonna talk and try to create something.
That is kind of interesting in itself too, because this vessels of truth thing. I don't know about the Jordan Petersons of it, because I have issues with like free speech to some degree, because we've also seen how that can go awry, and I think that the preaching of the idea of speaking truth and being embodiment of truth. Like the truth is that like if you get Jordan Peterson down to it, so my audience, if you're watching this, they probably know that I've been researching Jordan Peterson for a year. So like I'm at like I know like everything about him. So this is like the matrix through which I understand a lot of things and have conversations right now. I'm not gonna stay here forever, okay? I can't wait. I'm trying to do it so that it's done. You know what I mean? But Jordan, for example, knows like the religious texts better, right? And he understands pragmatism, and that's a philosophy I fully agree with. So like he understands that truth is like a deeper multidimensional word than correspondence to like facts, right? Or even honesty, just like blurting out what you think, right? Truth is a deeper thing. Like when Jesus says, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life," he's talking more about like the arete, like you know what I mean? Like the good, like almost like the pious, right?
Yeah.
Like the way to walk that works, right? So anyways, the point being, I think that there's a lost in translation thing where people like, you have to speak the truth. And what they think that means is free speech. We all have to be honest and speak to people you disagree with and just kind of yell at each other and blurt out what you think. And it's so brave to do so. I'm no longer convinced. I don't know if it is brave to blurt out what you think without mediating it. I think that, so I think, I don't know about embodiment of truth. I get it, but I don't know if that's the useful thing for people to, we need more honesty and more democracy. You should post more. That's how we'll solve this. Just keep blurting out what you think. I don't know about that.
You sent me this meme. We'll put it on screen. I'll send it to you.
Green screen.
What does this mean to you?
I don't know. I don't believe in any of this stuff. Someone from my community sent me this. Saba, shout out Saba. They helped me with this is launching like the day that we're talking. I'm gonna launch my new website and the book report that me and my community designed for how to do nothing. It's a cool little thing. cjthex.com/killtheinternet. But
so you sent that to me not knowing what it meant.
Saba's a fan of you and me, basically, and so they say hi. I think because we just
hi Saba.
what the fuck does this mean? I don't know.
There seems to be some.
Social
I
value,
think maybe what they're
pragmatic
getting
value, postures and impressions.
is that there's like.
Worth believing. Okay, so this is pretty based. This means we're pretty based, right?
I think it means we're based in different ways.
Yes.
Or something.
Yeah. I would say part of what this means is there's like procedural knowledge and there's like explicit knowledge. This is a Maps of Meaningism. Have you ever read Maps of Meaning?
No.
Okay.
And just for the people listening in audio form, we're looking at a graph which has CJ the X on top.
This is such a complicated adjective to explain.
As pragmatic value, CJ represents pragmatic value and Dreg represents social value.
But we're both on the side of ideas worth believing in. So the pragmatic value that I seem to embody, we're both on the other side of the darkness, so that's pretty good. But it's a different forms of light, I guess, is what's being implied here. And mine is pragmatic value, which is like merit beliefs via actions and consequences, so kind of effect oriented maybe. And then Dreg is positioned via postures and impressions, crony beliefs. So, okay, so the reason I'll actually, I don't have to use Maps of Meaning. We can talk about John Dewey's Reconstruction of Philosophy, does a good job of it too, is that people act out things in imitation of each other before they can articulate them. They act out, they dramatize, and then they come up with a kind of explicit philosophy or a philosophical truth claim, right? So anyways, I would say that we're both pretty similar in that we both dramatize the things that we're trying to understand and feel.
Right.
But I definitely lean to the side of I'm trying to explicate it. Like,
Right.
that's why I'm doing all this philosophical research. Well, I think you go to the procedural side where you just reflect and behave and you just do things and embody. And it's weird because it's like, it's so that you get to a point where it's like, what does Dreg believe? Well, it's hard to pin down because he's so fucking busy, like, just embodying and being things that you kind of recognize, but are kind of pushing consciousness forward, but it's not explicit, whatever it is you're doing. It's art.
And you're explicit.
I think that's why I'm doing all this philosophical research, is to try to give. It's a similar thing to what Jordan Peterson did, I think. Like, that was his mission in the 90s, at least, right? Was to, like, try to render previously procedural dramatized knowledge more explicit so that we don't lose it in the modern digital technological era.
Okay, yeah, absolutely see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do I would say me and Jordan have similar goals in some sense, which is why I thought it'd be interesting to do a very thorough analysis, because I was like, where exactly do we diverge? I want to know exactly. I'm sick of every time you criticize Jordan Peterson, like, people are like, no, he said something different at another time because he's been just like speaking nonstop since 1984 or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, I was trying to, like, render all of critique of that, like, inept. I was like, you cannot blame me for not knowing what I'm talking about. So let's do that and let's see. So in a way, it was exactly a Petersonistic, like, it's more accurate, it's like more shamanistic. It's like this plunging into truth. I wish I remember Ellenberger, forget the rest of their name, but they described it as creative illness. Like, when you're so possessed by an idea, that's like irrational. You're irrationally committed to an idea. Let's say, like, you start a YouTube channel trying to get 100,000.
Yeah.
Right? To the point you'll give up drinking, you're sacrificing, you're working so hard. But, like, why? Like, you can't prove it's going to work, and you can't even really justify it. It's insane, right? And sometimes even does damage to you psychologically. But creative illness, it possesses all of us. We have this idea. We just want to act it out even to our own detriment. And what it is like religious exposure to the truth, allowing it to potentially destroy you on faith that for some reason this is worth it. So it's a religious act. Anyways, I'm on the other end of that right now.
Is Jordan Peterson more procedural, or what was the other one? Objective?
His levels, he describes it as procedural, drama, and then semantic.
Okay.
So, like, it's like we imitate each other. We do that before we even have language, technically, right? So we imitate each other. Like, if you, like, go like piss in a bush and your dick gets bitten by a scorpion, then we're like, bushes are scary. We don't like bushes, right? And then we all do that before we can even articulate it, right? And then the next version of that is back at the campfire. John Dewey would say it's like in between, in our primitive state, in between periods of intense activity, like we're hunting a mammoth, then we bring it back to our tribe, and we don't have like games even really yet. Like, we don't have like culture really yet, right? So there's these long periods of rest in between periods of intense action. And what do we do in the periods of rest after we invent language? We just kind of say what happened, right? We go like, remember when fucking, like, you got bit in the dick by the scorpion? And we just describe that story. And now this is a tale, right? Once upon a time, a man went and peed in a bush, and a scorpion bit his dick. Moral, none. No, there is a moral. That's the thing. So then that's the beginning of knowledge, right? And then later on, we might, like, go, like, we start to become philosophers and religious thinkers, and we go, like, like don't like I don't know like that's you're maybe cover up your penis. Maybe that's the lesson, right?
Yeah, I remember that Jordan Peterson book.
Cover up your penis.
Cover up your penis.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Changed my life when I was a young man.
Mm-hmm.
When did you read Jordan?
When did I did?
I love talking to people that were into Jordan Peterson now.
19.
You were 19.
Yeah, I was
What
like.
year was that?
19 was 20.
18? Is it
17.
12 Years of Life? Oh no, so it was postmodern neo-Marxism era when you encountered him. He was angry.
I just read 12 Rules for Life, but I'd found
it
him
came out in
before.
2018, didn't it?
I think I have no idea.
Yes.
It was 2018. I was like morbidly obese, and I worked in a warehouse. I listened to an audiobook form there.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like perfect candidate for this
Yeah.
book.
When I was a boy,
When I was a
father
boy.
told me to build a birdhouse.
And what
I
have you
hate
read
that
of
book, to be
Jordan
honest.
Peterson's?
What have I read?
Yeah.
Just 12 Rules for Life.
Just 12 rules.
That's it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about being more well read than most Jordan Peterson fans? Like,
Everything I try. Most of the things I do are jokes.
Mhm.
I structure them like jokes, right? So to me, I thought it'd be funny if I knew more about Jordan Peterson, and because also that's the thing I noticed. It seems like Jordan Peterson fans haven't read Maps to Me. They don't know anything that he believes, right? That's the fucked up part. It's like no one's engaged with the philosophy. And then even this book, Myth and Mayhem, it's like a leftist critique of Jordan Peterson. Like 4 different people wrote it. Zizek wrote the intro. And even in that, it's like they're engaging with like, I said it, like at one point, they cite the ContraPoints video. Like, has anyone read the book? I don't think anyone's read the book. It's blowing my mind.
You may be the truest Jordan Peterson fan.
I'm the only Jordan Peterson fan, as far as I can tell. Because then also his own side hate him for some of his deepest held beliefs. The Sam Harris interview is the first gateway. I owe this all. I've got to say this. Jane Gatsby was an intellectual sparring partner that brought this upon me in a lot of ways, got me started in my philosophical journey, challenged me, sharpened me like no one else. She deserves the credit. But so she wanted me to watch the Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson video.
The first one where they just.
No, it was actually the debate live on stage in Vancouver.
Okay.
Like, so it was, that. But then I went backwards and I found the first one. It's 67 of Waking Up.
Yeah.
Amazing. I loved it because this is the thing, right? Is like, my take is I'm like Jordan Peterson's just right. Like I just agree with the pragmatist principle. But this is the thing, when you pair Jordan Peterson up with Sam Harris, then everyone ultimately is like, well, Sam Harris is objectively right because he cares about facts, and Jordan sounds like a religious nut. They always like, oh, he gets postmodern when he talks about religion. And everyone's wrong. Well, they're not. I don't agree. He's making an explicit, comprehensive argument for pragmatism. Maybe not the best enunciation of it. But he's a pragmatist, and I'm a pragmatist philosopher. That I came upon that in my own thing through my aesthetic philosophy research. I came backwards into it, actually, because it was like, I like aesthetic philosophy, and then I was finding cool guys. I had a really pivotal interview with C.T. Nguyen, where he put me onto so many aesthetic philosophers, modern philosophers around like UBC and elsewhere, Karen Gordievsky and Dominic Lopez, and then I looked for the sources of the people I like, because that's how you do. You work backwards and keep finding where does everything come from. I found Yuriko Saito, who did Everyday Aesthetics. Which is smart. I like that. Like art is a broader thought. It's like a moment and experience rather than these objects, and rather than an analytical discipline, it's like a process discipline. And then from that, I found art as experienced by John Dewey. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever read. John Dewey's a pragmatist. Keep working backwards. William James, also a pragmatist, cited by John Dewey. And William James, someone I like. William James is actually connected to the Black Civil Rights Movement in America. So like Du Bois and stuff like that cite William James. And then so does Cornel West, right? And then pragmatism also with Jamesian thought goes into religion. I'm interested in religion, right? And then at some point, like I'm watching Jordan Peterson stuff, and he's like, pragmatist, the American pragmatist, Charles Sanders Peirce, William James. I'm like, we both? And then I'm like, well, let's look into the Jordan Peterson. That's how you should do philosophy, I think, is find what you're interested in, stretch out. Robert Pirsig says that, and Lila. Yeah.
Did you begin your research like less pro Jordan Peterson?
Good question. I don't know exactly.
Huh.
I think I was the tagline has always been a defense and a denunciation. So I was, yes, like approximately. I thought that people criticize him for bad reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because people are like, he cries.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, So I thought that there's my theory is it's like trauma is like you need to, when you have a traumatic experience, like the thing about memory is like you can change it with imagination, and the way to heal from trauma is like to not have it, like the problem with trauma is so incongruous with the rest of your psyche, so it like so when it comes up you snap back to a previous state, you can't cope and you can't square it with the rest of your story. And so the way to heal from trauma is to go backwards into the trauma and like heal it like with your imagination, to like recontextualize it and change yourself around it and make it part of you, you know what I mean? So like that's how it works when you have a splinter in your body too, right? And so my feeling was that with Jordan we haven't processed this trauma. And I don't think we've processed the trauma of 2014, 15, 16, 17. I think all of that is still deeply traumatic. And that's what I got concerned about is I was like, and the only way to deal with it then is to reach in and grab whatever value's in there and pull it out and to contextualize it and to know, you know what I mean? Because if you just cut it out of you, then everyone around you is going to see, and this is true, you'll see it with Jordan Peterson fans or the Jordan Peterson fans that are just quiet about it because they suspect this is kind of bullshit, some of the criticism of him, the malignment, because they're like, because I see there's value, right? And people can see you're full of bullshit when you act like there's no value inside of something, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want to allow that. I want to try to resolve this. So that's what I was trying to do. So I don't know. That was the mission statement. I don't know if I was pro Jordan Peterson. I don't know if I'm pro Jordan Peterson now. I don't care to be. I don't care to be pro ranty like anything except for my ass, and goodness quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are very important to enunciate that desire, even though it seems like a flimsy thing to say. It's really important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you said heal from 2014, 15, 16.
There's like
Something
a trauma
happened.
there. Yeah.
Something
Go.
happened.
What
like
do you
just
mean by that?
society, like
Something
in the
happened.
zeitgeist.
What happened? What happened was it's the phone. It's the phone and it's social media. That is what happened, right? And actually, Jonathan Haidt, do you know who that is?
Sounds so familiar.
Yeah, he did the Coddling of the American Mind, the Righteous Mind. He was like kind of in 2016 Culture Wars. He was like in one of the university profs. It's like the woke mob is ruining education, right? And okay, like fair enough. That's not something that really interests me necessarily. What surprised me is I've seen my therapist actually recommended me his current research after Babel. He's doing it all on Substack, and it's all about the phone's like destruction of the mind, right? And the cultural like blight that has been happening because of social media. And this is something that I came to. So he came to it from like, I'm concerned about like, I don't know, freedom of speech and democracy and education and like these things that, again, not my emphasis. I came to it through like leftism basically. It's since 2021 when I did that Bo Burnham video and I realized like this what social media is like and what like the advertiser model and like capitalism is doing to our minds through like Twitter and Instagram and how powerful it is and it's killing us, you know what I mean? It's so dangerous. And so that's where so then weirdly though, Jonathan Haidt and me 100% aligned at present because we're both come down to like we need a cultural revolution and a political revolution to ban social media from kids under the age of like 14, 15. We got to get it out of schools. We need to make spaces. We need collective action. We need laws. We need regulation. So me and him are actually right now perfectly aligned politically. And I also respect Jonathan Haidt because and from a pragmatist angle is that like and this is maybe spoilers, I don't know. But like Sam Harris, similarly, right? This is what's interesting is like these people don't agree with the pragmatism philosophy necessarily. Well, I wouldn't say about Jonathan Haidt, doesn't matter. But Sam Harris doesn't necessarily. And yet he's the one that actually quit Twitter because he realized it was bad for his society and for him. Jordan also was capable of identifying this, but through his philosophy, he identifies, the problem is these psychopaths, is these narcissistic psychopaths and the woke mob and stuff. I'm like, no, it's the medium and it's you. You're the worst Twitter user, right?
Yeah.
You are the worst kind of, and you want to blame it on individual narcissists.
Wow.
It's insane. But Sam can see it's a systemic thing. So anyways, the point being with Jonathan Haidt is like, it's like he would talk about the woke mob, but then he pivoted because he was looking for a root problem, like truly, right? And that's why I started Kill the Internet, and that's why I'm going to do this live show in the spring, and that's why we're doing this book club and stuff, is because like this shit slices just bipartisan through the fucking political aisle like crazy. It's unbelievable. Everyone's on board.
Yeah.
Everyone's on board for limiting children's use of social media, including the children. They know.
Yeah.
We were talking about how everything's more ideological now. I think also things are like less ideological in
They're
some ways.
almost better. It seems. I think I'm always grateful that I'm alive now, not any other time. But like, it's almost better. Like, cause I at least there's hunger. You know what I mean? At least there's hunger. I always see that with people. Let's talk about like cancel culture, accountability culture, whatever you want to call it. With that too, I think people are hungry for something better, and that's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Everyone's waiting for someone to have a better idea. That's pretty good. Like that's not like that's better than no one cares, right? But every single one of these political commentators behind closed doors is concerned about social media and wants things to be better somehow.
Yeah.
Like all of them.
No,
which is a good position to be in because that's what all you need is something beautiful.
Yeah. No, I totally see this. I'm thinking about my next video I want to work on is gonna be called like it'd be like a lighter expression of this. It'd be called like people are turning on influencers.
Yes.
Because if you go to like any Instagram reel, and no matter how innocuous, like no matter how like unegregious of just like a woman being like, get ready with me for a day at the office, the top comments like, shut the fuck up. It was like I have 20,000 likes. It'll be like, stop yapping. Who ordered a yappuccino? Hate from Italy. Just shit like anybody. It doesn't matter like hot girl,
It's so
hot guy,
frustrating
bodybuilder. It's
that
just always
all
the top comment.
It's so frustrating that all the like toxic things about the internet are also a little funny.
Yeah.
Like hate from Italy. Come on.
That's great.
But it's like people like someone 2 hours into a doom scroll session at 3 a.m. saw that video and like something inside them woke up and was like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah, they
I don't want to see, like, I hate, you're like my slave.
Yeah,
you're my slave master.
There's
I
some
hate
consciousness being expressed through that neuroticism of like you see something on your phone, you're like and you're just mad that you're scrolling on Instagram Shorts.
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
just some like some.
But it comes out on the that poor coffee.
Well, I always say
person.
like you
The coffee
think you
person,
care
yeah.
about the Colleen Ballinger drama until your grandpa dies, and then you remember that you're alive, right? But like you don't care.
Yeah.
None of us have ever cared about like that. You know what I mean? And people
Yeah.
act like these are moral positions. It's not. It's entertainment. And to the degree that you have sincerity in your moral convictions about the situation, it's slightly hallucinatory because as soon as shit starts mattering again, then you're like, wait, I've never cared about what's going on. Why is this thing telling me where to put my attention? What the fuck? I've never cared about any like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't really. People will be mad at me, but I think it's true. You don't really care about Hassan drama, not really, right? Because wait until you like your girlfriend breaks up with you. Like wait until like you discover the thing. Man, John Vervaeke's on one lately. He's on a religious fucking shamanistic journey on his way back. It's incredible. But John Vervaeke's going crazy. But I listened to him the other day on Jordan Peterson's podcast. One of the best things Jordan's done in a long time. They bring the best out of each other. But John Vervaeke's like, you know how you have meaning in your life? Oh, man, he's like, there's something that you want to exist if you do not. And are you contributing to that thing? Like, are you positively, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, that's an incredible two set of questions to see if you have meaning in your life. And that's the thing is like, I think that's a good way to talk about the meaning crisis. And that's a good way to also identify with like whatever your phone is telling you to be mad at the moment. It's like, is that touching the things that you think are meaningful, or is it not? Is there anything even to procedurally do about it in your life? Can you do anything except for post and consume more? Because that's very suspect if that's the only pragmatic implication for behavior that any of this has, is you just should post. And I'm saying it's the companies. It's fucking social media. It's the capitalism, Drake.
Every time you finish talking, there's like 9 things I want to say, but it's like this comes up and then this comes up and this comes up. The most wait. So what were the 2 things that you were saying about meaning?
He's 2 questions to see if you have meaning in your life, which
Yeah.
was, is there something that you want to exist even when you do not? Like even like that you want to outlast you, or that if you didn't exist, you still want this to exist.
Right.
So that's true external orientation. That's like worship, right? And then are you contributing to that thing?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have the first, but they don't have the second. Like they don't actually go the extra step of doing something about it.
Well, that means that you're not living like a necessarily meaningful life.
Yeah, like I remember I had a phase where I was complaining a lot about community, but I wasn't doing anything about
Yes,
it. And then
right.
I actually started building a
How do you
community here.
feel?
I feel much better.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah, that's what I was struggling with, is in this despair of the social media thing and the inability to escape. I was like, and so what is there to do? So I'm going to start a nonprofit, and it's called Kill the Internet, and we're going to start to do these events where it's like going to be like 5 hours long. And like it's me there and then a few influencers just to bait the kids out. And then we lock your phones up at the door, and then we make you do like partners dancing and like sing in groups and like learn personal finance. And then there's like music, and then like I give a speech, you give a crazy presentation, whatever you do. Like, you know what I mean?
That's awesome.
It's so scalable, it's scary actually,
Yeah.
because governments will give that grants. You can take that city to city.
Yeah.
But
And-
that's that now. I
and
feel
the why
better.
is amazing. That's the best why I've ever heard.
The what?
The why behind that event is amazing.
How would you
Why
say?
why you're doing it is to kill the internet. Like that's great.
It's funny. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Well, because I thought, because you know that like the share tweet, like I need to shoot my phone.
Yeah.
It's like that feeling that everyone already has. I just want to tap it and be like, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And you should live in your body and live in your community, make a difference here right now,
Yeah.
as you can. Right?
Yeah, the great, I think, tragedy of the magic rectangle is sucks in all of everything. Your love, your hate, your horniness, everything. It just goes into that, and it's like wasted. I mean, there's so
It's
much
not
of that.
wasted. It contributes to something. But what does it contribute?
Well, I have
towards?
a theory, but you're not
Fucking
gonna like it.
Money. All right, what's your theory?
I like your theory.
I think.
I love that
Okay,
beginning
so
of a conversation.
I think God gave us life energy called vril at the beginning of time, and as time goes on, the computer screen sucks it. It sucks it in, but the internet is a place without space. There's no space on the internet.
That's true.
This is connected to something, and it's because there's no space, there's also no time. And at the end of time, there's the techno-capital singularity, which is where we're all progressing.
Right.
And we're feeding the techno-capital singularity with our vril, with our God-given vril. Feeding it our horniness, our hate,
Drake, I want to
our
call
love.
you slurs.
Yeah, go ahead. This is the place to do it. Anyway, that's basically it.
Okay.
Let me just say I'm not a honky. I'm a white man. I'm not a white man. There's zero part of me that's white. I'm a 1% of all races on the planet.
Oh,
so if you
right.
want to call me a slur, you got to choose carefully.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
And you're like transmaxing too, right?
Yeah.
That's where you identify as like a capital M man.
Capital N, capital he him pronouns.
Right.
He him. Yeah.
Oh my fucking god.
You see what I mean? Procedural knowledge.
Yeah.
There's like you're like if you try to articulate the meaning of that, you're gonna get nothing.
I think there's meaning in it. I think there's meaning in all the little bits that you do or the bits that I try to
I said if you try to
inhabit.
articulate it, you're gonna get nothing.
It's because it's not. Some things are not completely articulable. I believe. Like you have
That's
to
true.
just act it out.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's what art is. If art is communication, right? The reason that like you make an album is to point at some very like tiny specific spot of phenomenological reality that you couldn't point to with a sentence. Otherwise, you wouldn't need an album, right? Like that's it. You're just trying to point at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beyond language. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's part of the body of it, right? That's what's important. That's why ChatGPT is nowhere close to us, right? Because we're like in space, like in body, like animal representations of so much like implicit information constantly. So it's like, oh, can you develop a consciousness with AI? Like, no. That's my answer. No.
Yeah.
And I talked to a few people that are in neuroscience too that are like, we are nowhere. We can't even figure out how exactly like a rat fucks. Like, there's no way.
Apparently, there's a delivery at my front door that I owe money for.
Ah, well, in that case, we'll keep it.
Yeah, you
going.
keep going.
Keep it running.
I'll be Brogan.
Yeah, let's talk.
So the thing about art.
That's his voice.
I don't know. That's not. This is good. This is bad. Well, this is something I kind of wanted to talk about. Is I think okay. So you're an ENFP. He's an ENTJ.
I don't know what that means.
I know you don't. Long story short is so the ENFP they're a feeling type. They have like their internal values are very important.
Yes.
And
That's what I am.
Yeah, that's what you are.
I'm distracted because I'm remembering that time you sent me that website where people just debate publicly what public figures' personality
that's
types
one
are.
of my favorite.
I avoid going online. I never look for
You don't
stuff
like
about me
you don't
online.
like seeing people talking about you.
But then you sent me because it's poison. Is because I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, I
it's
want to
poison.
know. And then I'm reading
Poison.
people like
I love poison.
psychoanalyze me, and
I
I'm
think
like,
poison's
I'm like,
delicious.
oh, I love when people talk about me.
yeah, it's addictive.
I shouldn't look at that. All right, but that was funny. I remember that. And
Yes, we that it's called
because
personality.
you called me
database.
an ENFP, and I was like, how do you know
I
that?
only called you that
and then
because
you were
that's what
like,
the world
the
said.
internet said
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's objective truth. I'm a big fan of your identity being socially constructed. So if people vote for you to be an ENFP, then you are an ENFP.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
sure.
What did you get? 3 kilograms of cocaine in the stewed.
3 kilograms of cocaine. One for each of us.
Delivered by UPS.
I know that he thought it was just like gems. The coke's in the gems.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
Yeah. It's like hidden under.
Right, he thought it was gems. Dumbass.
No nicotine on the pod. You gotta have some nicotine on the pod.
It's just nicotine?
It's a rite
It's
of
not
passage.
weed
It's
or
just
anything?
just
No.
nicotine.
I can't
We're an
believe-
anti-weed house.
No, yeah, weed is not capitalist, so we can't do that.
Weed isn't capitalist?
Yeah, only stimulants are capitalist. That's why we only do stimulants in the pod.
I don't like the aftertaste of that. What is it?
It's
Like
old.
Pina colada?
Ugh.
So it's a drag bar.
We can do cocaine. We can do crack. We can do.
I brought wine. I have,
Vyvanse.
like a little bit of wine in my bag.
Alcohol is not a
I have
capitalist drug.
14 bottles of whiskey too.
14?
I think more.
Oh, do you have anything good? Or is it like just kind of random shit?
Oh, if we can drink whiskey on the pod, Brogan's mind is the dopamine is gonna explode.
It's actually iced tea in whiskey bottles.
Oh yeah, do you want some iced tea in the whiskey bottle?
Oh, that's disappointing.
It's actually whiskey.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's for the
it's
algorithm.
iced tea. It's algorithm.
Do you have a nice whiskey? I like nice whiskeys.
I have a Japanese. This is a Japanese one.
Which one? I think I recognize.
Little Cube. It's
Yes,
Japanese.
yes, okay,
I have
yeah.
a Canadian. I have a bunch of bourbon.
It's not one of the Suntory ones, though. I kind of like those. Have you had those?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very
N-
nice.
now's the time, I think.
That one's
I'll-
more peaty. That one's kind of like Johnny Walker Black.
Okay, I'm gonna get you guys
Similar-
shot
I don't
glasses.
like
Okay.
Johnny-
You don't like Johnny
fine,
Walker?
Fine. I want to sip on something. I don't do shots, but I don't really like Johnny Walker. It's like too dark.
Hmm.
My life has been like I like the vanilla oaky like ones, sweet ones.
I got a great one for you.
And then that's like what's the that starts with F. I wish I remember the names of my whiskeys.
No, just grab any glass.
Then I went really smoky, like like Lafroy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the little cube one's the smokiest. I'd say like all the ones on the left side are all bourbon. So like the red label one, the Weller, is gonna be like the sweet vanilla
Yeah.
oak.
Okay. Yeah. I want the smoke.
You want the smoke?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Do the little cube.
Hell yeah. It's a good time to drink whiskey, right? What is it, 2 p.m.?
Yeah,
Has it been an hour? I'm just checking.
almost.
Because I was
Up to
given the right of picking the cup, I've decided
Oh,
to go for plastic.
we have to do that?
You have to. Yeah.
Oh,
I had 2
fine.
days.
I'll pretend I'm at like an outdoor concert.
This is my only contribution to what's happening, is the fact that you have to drink it out of plastic cups now.
Fine. Wow, that's a
Iced
lot.
tea. By the way, we're also going to be inhaling baking soda through our nose shortly. But yeah, some delicious iced tea.
Iced tea out of a Japanese whiskey bottle.
This is good. I like drinking.
So do I. That's why I started again. It wasn't worth it.
Truly.
Yeah, you guys have both had relationships with alcohol.
Yes. Yeah, that's the way to describe it. I
Yeah.
imagine.
I did 3 months dry, and
I did like a month dry and then a month on weekends, which is unusual for me. But that was cool. Last year, the year before, I did just a month, and then this year I kind of did 2 months, and then the next year I want to do like 3. I just want to keep expanding my capacity to experience reality without that.
I could go back and forth on it forever.
The thing is, I like it a lot.
This is my big moral stance on drinking, is that to frame it as
Ooh, this is very nice.
so
Or maybe I just haven't had whiskey in a while.
No,
But
he knows his whiskey. That's his job.
Okay.
to frame it as like the way people frame drinking always is that it's like a trick, like you're being tricked into drinking. It's like a psyop and it's poison and like you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Drinking's the foundation of
Yes, it's a society.
So it's integral to being human is drinking.
I agree with this. I think it's that you like. I don't think that human beings are that stupid sometimes. You know what I mean? Like so, because the same thing with like religion, right? Like it's like people like talk about it in this lens where it's like people act like rationality, like specifically the last few hundred years of rationality, are like the be all end all like correspondence truths. And it's so strange. And with this, we're able to devalue ourselves so intensely and think AI is like smarter than us. Like we just believe that narrative. When in truth, it's like, because it's like rationally, it's like drinking. Well, it's bad for your health and like makes you less like conscious or whatever the fuck, right? You can kind of rationalize your way into it being objectively stupid.
Yeah.
But it's like, also it's like fucking awesome. Like, what are you, stupid? Like, why do you think people do it? Like, why do you think we made it? It's like the nectar of the gods.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
There's a reason we like it. It's because it's great. It's like we're trying to have a good time out here. You know what I mean? Life is pretty painful sometimes.
I know. If you go like full biology and look at like Asian flush, that should be like an adaptive trait to get humans to stop drinking.
Sure.
But it has not caught on. That trait has never grown into other societies.
Yeah, you mean like Darwinistically, like
Yeah, you think like if drinking was that bad, we would like Darwinistically cut out drinking.
like sobriety is losing the mimetic war here, like the
Yeah, sobriety is losing the mimetic war.
What does that say about people who have that flush, Brogan?
Who have that flush?
Yeah.
Don't drink as much, or like maybe drinking. I don't know much about like thousands of years of. I know Europeans, like Indo-European, we've had drinking. The first tools we discovered were to make alcohol. Before we discovered tools to make bread, like 12,000 years ago, the first human tools were to make beer. I think like maybe it's just less important in Eastern Asian cultures.
As someone who doesn't drink, it's good for some people who like it.
Yeah.
We don't have to objectively make everything. Yes. I like this, so this is why it's goes back to millions of years in the past.
Yeah.
No, exactly. No, you're totally right.
I drink alcohol. My joints hurt. I feel stupid. I hate it. I can't sleep.
What is a diagnosis, right? And I agree with the pragmatic model, right? You don't diagnose things because you're just like saying what objectively exists. Diagnoses are like, it's a procedural recommendation.
Right.
It's prescriptive, right? So
Right.
it's like, I have BPD because you call me BPD and then you do the things you do to a BPD person and it works. So that's it. That's all that really matters, right? I think it's the same thing for alcoholism, that some people, I've been to AA and stuff like that, and like some people they're like the demon bottle took me down dark road. And I'm like, that's not how my life went. Yeah. My life's awesome. But I think that there's a difference between like crippling alcoholics who become a different person, can't control themselves to the point they destroy their lives over it.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people just have a relationship with drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have a relationship with drinking. I think that's true. I mean, obviously you should probably also completely usefully also call me an alcoholic and all that, but like the truth is like it's like when I went sober and I'm talking to my therapist again and again, it's like he's like asking, because I'm a pretty strong-willed person, I'm going to do what I want to do and I have pretty strong willpower to accomplish things I want to do. So he's like, do you want to not ever drink again? Because he's like, I don't think, because if you don't want that, then I can't, like, you're not going to, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's like, because Dan Harmon said this in one of his podcasts. He was like, drinking, are you an alcoholic? It's like, put me and your life beside each other. Let's have a life contest, and I'll just knock your shit out. And then like tell me to stop drinking for what? What have you got, right? And so I want to be able to not to, for sure. So I want to normalize that, and I want to experience my full consciousness. But also, do I want to not enjoy like a fucking nice glass of whiskey in my life? Like, no. So then the goal at least changes. You want to change your relationship to the alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I know a few people. I know a few adults that I respected that they're big drinkers, and they don't drink because they have a family and their body's hurt, and you know what I mean? That's the reason, right? It's like I don't drink till after 6 p.m. and on these weeknights, and it's part of growing up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm not gonna name names, but I know someone who's like complete like alcoholic, family's alcoholic, and me and him talk a lot about it. And he's fully quit drinking because it like was destroying his life.
Yes.
And it's like it's almost like equating it to like being born without an arm. Like you just have a thing that you have to deal with.
Yeah, that's just how it is.
Yeah, I don't have it. Some people do have it. Like if it's gonna destroy your life, it's it's genealogical.
I can work while doing it. I like it a lot. I can function incredibly highly. Most of the time people don't notice if I'm wasted unless I'm very wasted.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
emotionally unwell.
When the last time Sisyphus 55 Ben was here,
yes,
we went on drinking, and I drank 14 pints of beer, and he was like, how much have you drank? And I like 14 pints of beer, and he's like, I wouldn't guess you've drank one.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Well, that's how it was in his head. In reality, he was like,
Yeah. Yeah. I was like gripping the table like, yes.
Yeah.
That's so hard to
Right.
not slur my words.
yeah.
But
That's funny.
I feel you.
Yeah. No, some people just have different relationships with it.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Actually, I run a show on my Patreon called Social No Para. I haven't released any, but I've done some. But like, I just let people send in pitches for conversations, just random patrons. So I just have recorded conversations with people, and then I release some of them as content. Anyways, but you get the craziest pitches. It's pretty interesting. It's a nice way to do it because I needed some solution to be able to know my audience without ever like looking at social media or comment sections. I was like, this works. Long form conversations with people once in a while. Anyway, someone messaged me just recently. They wanted to talk about drinking. I'm like, sounds fun. I don't know. Yeah. Sounds fun. It's probably too spicy.
It gets spicy.
It's fucked up. I don't know if people will be comfortable with this. I just think it's interesting. It's not time. But I got one pitch of someone that's a convicted sex offender.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that was pledging. They were like, I just want to talk about it. They're like, it's been like 30 years. They were like, I was like a teenager.
That's crazy.
But they were like, would you be down to talk about that? And I'm a pretty transgressive person. I'm interested in some of this stuff. I mean, I'm very interested in accountability and like online and restructuring how we think about it because that's another trauma we haven't sorted out yet.
Yeah.
Is like, how do we think about that? And it's, yeah. But so like, I'm interested in that, but I was like, you have to think about your audience too, right? I'm like, that's interesting to me. I don't know if the people are ready for it. I don't know. It's not time.
Yeah.
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 It will be time though at some point.
Some point.
It would be incredibly fascinating.
Got a lot of work to do. This is all, my whole thing is all this philosophy work. I'm just trying to talk about art. I get people to understand how I feel about art, and it takes all this to get there.
Do you have a degree, or is this completely?
No, this is all autodidactic.
That's wild. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's the way to do it. That's the new way.
Maybe. I don't know. People say it's new. I think people require. The thing is, not everyone's like me. So I think that people kind of say, "Oh, we don't need university because all the information's out there." But you need structure, you need culture, and you need like limitation, and you need accountability and stuff. That's my hot take about Jordan Peterson. He's like, doesn't have enough. He requires the ordered structure of like the psychologist's college or like a school. Like I don't like him just freewheeling out here with no accountability. And then he's just doing his university. Nothing inherently wrong with that. But then he's like, oh, we're not going to bother to make it accredited. We're just going to make it like compete in the marketplace. I'm like, you're just doing business. You don't have any rudders on, right?
You're selling a course.
So I think a lot of people that say that you can just get all your education online, like, no, we need fucking rules of thumb. Like, we need some standards out here.
Yeah.
So I don't totally agree with that. For me, I'm just very highly self-motivated, and it has worked for me. I felt like it was my job once people were listening to me. And I realized people just believed shit I said. I was like, well, I better know what I'm saying and better not waste this opportunity I have here. So I just thought it was my job to be well-read. And so I hope it's panning out.
You never feel the desire to go get a degree or something.
I actually thought about it because you end up in this position actually, like, because now I think at some point I was reading so many books I got bad at making YouTube videos. Like, subjectivity in art, I'm very critical of my own videos, right? But I'm not going to tell you how to feel about it. It doesn't matter. But I think they reached a kind of density that, like, I realized, like, I was citing too much. Like, it was better when I just impulsively said what I thought. And I'm just good at that, and it's convincing. And I think because you need to have done the work and then use shorthand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you need to have done the work and then just make it up. And then, because that's what travels, you know? And then if I'm doing written work, I started writing essays because I wanted to be a little more sophisticated sometimes. I want to have the opportunity to. But you get to the saturation point where it's like, oh, the conversations I want to have with people, like I should be in university. Like I need mentorship is one major thing. I want to make sure I get things right. So I interview professors on my whatever Patreon show after I've read something to see if I'm right, and I am. but like I'm also like I started thirsting for it. So I weirdly I was looking at the tuition fees for like Tennessee Vanderbilt University because I know 2 professors there and that know pragmatism. And I'm emailing Cheryl Mezak is a pragmatist professor at U of T. John Vervaeke's at U of T. I might to try to audit a class was my new thought.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't make sense to make the financial investment at this point, and I wouldn't benefit from a degree, I don't think. But you need to be around the people that are taking this shit seriously to take it seriously. Because at some point, you know, it's like whiskey. You know, trying whiskey, and at some point you like realize the utility of cunty phrases like "nose." You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's like oh, this is like asshole things to talk about. It's like it's like the tannins.
That's my job. I'm a whiskey somm at a restaurant as a bartender. That's like my job.
Yeah.
So I'm totally.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Though. So why? So it's like it seems stupid and annoying and pretentious until you start drinking a lot of whiskeys, and suddenly you're experiencing like nuanced differences, and they realize, oh, that's why they invented the words.
Yeah.
Was to talk about this reality. When you get deep down enough, you need words like this.
Yeah.
So that's how it gets with philosophy too. It's like, sometimes I need to have more intense conversations with people.
Yeah.
So I actually looked into it a little bit.
To audit a class.
Yeah, to go to university. I actually looked to tuition fees.
okay.
UBC has some aesthetic philosophy professors I might be interested in. But
you can just go directly to those professors. Like mentorship is super important, but
It is.
there's a lot of ways of going about it.
that's probably true. And I'm in the
Having a
position
3-hour-long conversation with an older person, come on. Essential havings.
Pretty good. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need some consistency though. So it's like, what am I asking of them, and how much commitment am I showing them? But no, I do have that's basically I've decided to try to leverage clout.
It's crazy to me how important mentorship is and how few people have mentors.
I don't have many mentors.
Yeah.
Talking to JJ has been a bit useful actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we feel about JJ?
I love JJ. We gotta take it together. Little hats off to JJ.
Do you know my relationship with JJ?
No.
Okay, well, I'm not going to reveal it here. But he's my mentor reveal. Yeah, he's my mentor. He's been my mentor for like 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
He is.
It's been nice. It's been relieving to talk to him, particularly just as someone who's read books and again is like pragmatically looking at like the internet culture and just trying to like be a way that actually helps instead of falling into a pattern and taking on like a team in this.
Yeah, well, being 26 when you get your first phone helps out a lot because his brain is so unrotted.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable. It does help. It really helps.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to meet an older man who doesn't look like he's gonna like on the verge of losing his mind.
Yeah.
JJ is just so like
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And he reads books. That's the thing.
Yeah. Reads and writes all day and is just like.
That's the thing is
Another day.
I thought this is the thing about my self-education too, right? I thought everyone was doing this. I thought the biggest like socialist content creators and all these, I thought they were reading books and they knew what they were talking about.
They're not.
I'm finding like this was something that attracted me to Jordan in a weird way. Was like was this like the sad thing that happens to public intellectuals, like the professors and they research. I thought Sam Harris and Jordan were still doing research. They're not. They stopped a very long time ago. Their research, all they do is they go on podcasts and riff and they read Twitter.
Yeah.
And like articles and self-help books by their friends. They don't do research anymore.
Interesting,
And that's a big difference. John Vervaeke's still doing research, right? Jordan, like he does some research, but not like he doesn't have the requirements to impress his peers. It's self-help books. He just sells out world tours nonstop. There is no accountability. There's no, and then that's what disappoints me about the university thing. He's not going to try to get it accredited. I'm like, you just keep removing order from your life. You keep removing your accountability to broader culture, and you're just running a self-help business. Like in some, even though if you're doing it a little like smart, you know what I mean? Yeah. You're not incentivized to under fucking capitalism and attention economy that we live in. You know what I mean?
When's the last time Jordan Peterson authored a paper or was a co-author?
No, he hasn't since. No,
It's like years.
no, he's not authored a paper. He's not been in a lab forever. Not since. Well, really, Maps of Meaning. I mean, 2008, he did religion. That one paper on religion that I think was pretty good. And then 2000. No, what happened was. 2000 no, as soon as like map. It's fucked up. It's weird. Like former students of his too. Like they took his maps and meaning courses, and they're like they all thought once his book comes out, he's gonna be heralded like he's a genius, right? And the book has avarice in it. You know what I mean? And his behavior has avarice. And he did TVO, public broadcasting. He's been trying to get famous. Very business savvy. Been trying to sell his self-authorship thing and other programs like it. He's been trying to enterprise his whole life. As soon as YouTube came around, his first uploaded videos on YouTube were like 2008. Oh yeah, he uploaded his earliest things. We should look it up so I don't have the year wrong. But as soon as YouTube was around and he saw it, he uploaded his old tapes from 1998 at Harvard of Maps and Meanings, who has these millions of years old. Like you know what I mean? And then he quickly jumped on it, bought a lapel mic, hired a guy to record his lectures, started uploading them because he's on top of things because he wants to be fucking famous, right?
Yeah.
And that's
even the video that blew up was like professor against woke pronouns, something like that, right? Like
he's
titled
tuned
in the way where
he's
you
tuned
get
in.
the views.
And you know what 12 Rules for Life is too, right? You know what it is, right? What the rules are?
Yeah.
The 40 rules that he wrote in response to a Quora question.
Oh, yeah,
that's
true.
what the rules are. And his claim to fame on it, again, it's this weirdly numerical number go big capitalistic avarice thing that I don't like. It's weird. It's what it is it's like when you're it seems like a cope is my problem, right? It's like Maps of Meaning I think is a solid piece of work. I like it. It's 1999 textbook. No one's fucking read it. And he deserves credit for that. And if he was just a professor and this was his passion project, I think he would be like profoundly lovable. And it's a big part, like that qualification is why people are attracted to him now. But what actually took off was a Quoralist. It's woke mind virus stuff, right? And so that's very sad to me, that value capture. And that with the Quoralist, his appeal to it, he's like, I wrote that Quora answer and it has this many likes and people refer to it all the time. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, something about this must have really worked. So then I worked on these books. I'm like, so no, he doesn't. Once that worked, he stopped doing the other thing.
But that's where pragmatism gets you.
Yes, I guess so. You're saying that's a flaw of pragmatism?
I'm saying it's a fact of pragmatism.
Because that's what works.
Yeah.
Well, then I would just add works for what? Which is
guess,
why I introduced teleology into the equation. Analyze what it works for. Like,
What's teleology?
Teleology is like etiology is like cause and like teleology is like effect basically. Teleology is like
Study of effect.
yeah, so it's like in ancient Greek philosophy, like telos would be like the telos of like a cup is to be drank out of or something. You know what I mean? It's like, where is it going? What's its purpose, right? And so that's what I would be like, what's the teleology of Peterson, right? What's his stated intent? What's the teleology? I don't like the teleology of what Jordan has done with his life. I'll say that. It's disappointing because there's another thing in there that's obviously compelling. Like for people that hate Jordan Peterson, and also probably don't know that much about him, they like, I understand, but if you're being honest, like, you know, he's like smart. Like if you look at him, he seems like he knows something.
Yeah.
Right. And people really like it. So there's something like, yeah, of course, it's pragmatically something's going on. Mm-hmm. It's just sad because it doesn't look like it's salvation. Do you know what I mean? It's not for everyone. That's the biggest thing. Is it's not really for everyone, is it? Jordan's very happy to alienate some people.
Yeah.
So it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
So it's not the highest good. And it's also talking about religion too. It's employing archetypical language and religious language. So I call it's a kind of idolatry and blasphemy sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you're on Twitter calling like just some premier like embodiment of the devouring mother. Yeah. What's the pragmatic utility of that? What's the telos of that, right? Yeah. Of like is that what Jungian archetypical language is for? Is to call people embodiments of Satan, essentially? Wow. That's not what I think it's for.
That's a really very interesting point because you're essentially, from a Christian perspective, calling Jordan Peterson a blasphemer.
A little bit. I think he's very prideful, very convinced of his own correctness, and he plays lip service to the idea that, oh no, the good and evil runs through the man of every heart, and I'm as fallible as anybody. Have you ever seen him admit he's wrong?
Mm-hmm. No, no.
Yeah, I have.
Have you?
There's the maybe I'm wrong about that. James Jeffrey, some comedian, was like.
In 2017, because but that's just stupid. He's talking to a comedian. The comedian backs into a corner, but being homophobic, and he's like, right. So I obviously am being wrong. But that's a perfect example because he's like hard. He's like talking to Jim Jeffries, and Jim Jeffries is like, so you think it should be illegal for someone to bake a cake for a gay couple or whatever? And Jordan's like, maybe. Or whatever. Like he's trying to give people like individuality or something. And he quickly backs himself into a corner. It's like, why are you fighting right now? Who are you fighting? Like, who's this for? What the fuck is happening? His latest Lex Friedman appearance too. He's like, he's just like he's speaking like it's the end of the world. It's like, you're with a friend. Like, where's your joy? You're obsessed with this darkness. Like, you've convinced yourself that the meaning of life is to be found in the heart of conflict and challenge and strife, to the point I think you might be worshiping it. It's been for a long time, because since his teens, since his 20s, he was worshiping it, because he was obsessed. He was having dreams about like apocalypse, nuclear apocalypse. He started collecting Soviet Russian art, hanging it all around his home to remind myself what humanity is capable of. That's your home. Like that,
Yeah.
you're just stewing in this, like, I want to stare at the darkness. I want to stare at the darkness. That's where meaning is, in the darkness. It's like, he criticizes Campbell's follow your bliss, because it's a psychoanalytic lesson that's maybe not wise enough. In his 98 version of the Maps of Meaning thing, he goes like, he was wrong because it's actually not exactly your bliss. It's at this crux between order and chaos, the yin and yang. It's right there. It's where interest is, more accurately. It's like, it's not so safe as bliss, right? Fair enough. But maybe he needs to follow his bliss a little more. I don't know if he's happy.
I don't think he's happy.
He looks unhappy.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of the world is obsessed with, even like, I feel like Andrew Tate, the kind of like cornerstone of his worldview is that you have to like just and live in punishment and darkness and punish yourself, and
It's a very cynical perception of reality.
yeah, which I don't agree.
Like
I haven't
suffering,
experienced
men
that. I
suffer,
feel
yeah.
like I've had a very fulfilling life, and there's been plenty of ups and downs, but like it's not like my life has been hell and I've come to happiness through that. I'm like, I don't know.
Not only that, what you look at grows. I'm growing very concerned about the conscious experience of people. Like, your mind, like your conscious experience, like, is the world, right? That's as far as we're concerned, right? Our collective conscious experience is the world, right? This is the crazy thing. Like, and so if you spend all of your time like looking at the darkness of the world, especially darkness, and this is about the meaning thing, darkness you can do nothing about, right? And social media is fantastic at serving you nonstop darkness that you have no normative control over in your day-to-day.
Yeah.
It's information that will not change what you do in your day, really, except for maybe post and scroll, right? Those are the only meanings, right? But what that does then is it's giving your conscious experience darkness with which you have no redemptive capacity to engage with. Like, and so I'm growing worried, like, because if, is it worse? Is culture worse? I asked Scott Aiken this, and he was like, I think people think it's worse, and that might be the only thing that matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's it. You know what I mean?
If everyone thinks things are worse, things get worse.
They literally are. Conscious experience in the universe is at a more negative point, right?
Yeah.
And so what you choose to look at, it grows. These are old lessons, and they're known, like Solzhenitsyn, like Peterson loves to cite, right? That's someone that like survived through the Holocaust, and like through incredible like spiritual conscious force, as like keeps choosing to try to see light somehow, and it's revelatory.
Viktor Frankl.
Yes. Who's Solzhenitsyn?
Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago.
Right, so I had them wrong. So
And
one's
Viktor
the Nazi
Frankl's,
one, and one of them's the Soviet one.
Yeah, Viktor Frankl was Man's Search for
Was
Meaning.
the Holocaust one. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm probably describing. He cites them, but he talks about both. He talks about the Gulag Archipelago in his in his sweeping simplifications of global history.
So what I'm getting out of this is, by telling my audience that the world is ending, I'm making the world end.
A little bit.
Nice.
No, you do a good job though. Well, you can't. You have to validate their feelings, because this is another problem. This is with the social media thing. If the social media comes from old men that are like, you go crazy with your phone, right? The reason people listen to me and not them is because I've been inside of the phone. I know it's more than that. It's real. It's conscious experience. It's all real. It's real. It's not wasted time. It's real.
Yeah.
It's real. It's real. And you need to validate that, because you can't just talk past people. You got to meet them. You know what I mean? But you do a pretty good job, because you validate anxiety a lot, but you have started doing this whole like community sincerity thing. So you validate their anxiety and then give them something to do about it.
I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Just tearing everything down and leaving it broken versus building it back up.
I almost did that with my latest video, because I was so depressed. And that I thought it would be really funny if I just made everyone feel sad by the end of it. And I was watching it back, and it was making me laugh. That's the whole bit, right? It's like a meme video about like the Folgers commercial that like I don't
And it ends on the guy dying.
And then it ends on like death,
Yeah.
and like the inevitable end of some relationships and stuff. It's just like ooh, in your chest, right? And I thought that was funny, because it's a joke. It's like you start in the Folgers commercial and you're like, aha, and by the end you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you have to commit to the bit to make it happen. But then I actually felt it was kind of irresponsible. So I added a little extra outro that made it kind of more fun. Maybe more fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
I think because you exist on YouTube and you can make multiple videos, it's okay if you.
It's iterative, right? And I think that's the thing is like any darkness I may have put in the world with that video is going to be very redeemed by this thing I've been working on like a year on.
The last video on Jordan
that's
Peterson.
full of love and gratitude, and the last Jordan Peterson video, the most important one.
I think it should be the last one.
I think so too. That's
Yeah.
what I was kind of hoping for. I hope to make it redundant. Now, if anyone has anything to say,
Yeah.
it's like it's been done.
I'm very excited to see it.
I'm very excited to see it as well.
We're gonna do a watch party.
Of the first like couple hours,
Yeah.
we'll do that soon. I have Act 1, Act 2,
Wait, how many hours is it?
4.5.
Jesus.
It's beautiful.
I have it structured as act breaks at the hour markish. Like so because I have to try to convince myself I'm not like completely unhinged and that no one's gonna watch this. This is all for naught.
Yeah.
So I structured it so that it's like kind of like a Netflix documentary. Do you know what I mean? That has like episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like 5 hours of like content, but there's act breaks, so it's episodes. So
That's
that's
good.
how I structured it.
I'm so excited. We guys say we're all gonna do Vyvanse and sit on the floor and watch it. Yeah.
Why do I have to be on Vyvanse?
They have to be
consume
Vyvanse on the
content?
floor.
Man, I barely want to be on Vyvanse to create content, let alone consume
We
content.
can at least sit on the floor.
I try not to do stimulants anymore, like that,
Can we just like,
because
all touch
it's
feet?
very fun. Speaking of the,
Can we all touch feet on Vyvanse and watch Jordan Peterson video? The last
Yeah,
one.
Touch.
Grounded, grounded and connected.
Right.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's my toxic trait. There's also you have mimetic ancestors. You ever look at someone in culture and you're like, that's a lot like me, even though you don't know them. But like whatever came out of culture, like whatever came out of biology.
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
and
we're
your
similar kind of
YouTube audience will point you to them even if you don't want to.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's
Yep.
true. So Dan Harmon's one for me, right? And so that was his like vice and like bad times. It's like a perfect mixture of alcohol and Vyvanse.
Yeah.
It's bad though. John Mulaney's kind of like that too.
Yeah.
He was like, if I can just get this balance right of uppers and downers.
We have Vyvanse in this bowl right now. We just have a bowl of
Oh
Vyvanse.
shit.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying not to do that because that's a terrible thing to do.
Oh yeah. No,
So I don't do that
It
right
makes me psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you crazy.
Yeah.
You're burning rope at both ends. It's very unhealthy. You shouldn't do that.
I agree. I think if I didn't lift weights, I would.
I did though. Wait, actually.
You lifted weights on Vyvanse?
No, that sounds scary.
No, it's like if
My
I did.
heart would.
Will explode.
That's what I mean. If I didn't lift weights, I would probably be like walking that line, drug cocktail constantly. The fact I lift weights, I just have to like eat enough and sleep enough and not have my heart explode. And it just gives me a nice baseline of like I have this concrete reason why I can't abuse drugs. If I stop lifting weights, it's all over. But I'm like 3 years into it, and then when you stop, you get smaller, like your muscles shrink. So I'm just so far into it, I'm stuck there.
He says with a death grip on the vape.
That's all I have.
I did cave. That's what after I was sober, and like feeling through a lot of like negative feelings and pain and stuff, and I was struggling to create things. I think I maybe was making meaningful progress emotionally, but then I totally relapsed and I did that thing. I was like, because I couldn't make anything and I knew I needed to make something and maybe just a Christmas video would work. So then I popped an Adderall, went to the bar and did my old like stomping grounds thing and crushed out the whole shit in like a week.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I
That was
did
the last video?
That was the Christmas thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did relapse to make it. And
Right.
I was just like, whatever. I just made whatever. I didn't think about it very much.
Yeah.
Tried to pull as much darkness out of it as I could because it was funny.
We live in a time of any pharmaceutical drug you can imagine you can get. Say use it. Use it sparingly when you need to.
Well, some people, it works for some people, right?
Yeah.
I know some
Presumably.
works for plenty of people.
Yeah.
It is a performance enhancer, though. I don't think people should delude themselves about
You're competing with people who are on Vyvanse when you're not on Vyvanse. You're kind of at a disadvantage.
Or even better, cocaine.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm not worried about competing with someone who on cocaine. Like they're gonna.
They think they're productive.
Yeah, they're not really.
But they're not really productive.
No, it's too much.
Cocaine results in a lot of pacing.
Yeah. What's scary about Vyvanse is it actually works.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. Well, that's the thing. And so when people like try it and they're like, oh, maybe I have ADHD because it like works.
No.
I'm like, no, man.
No.
It's just a performance enhancer. It would work for anybody.
I have a friend who's like the least ADHD guy, and he was
I don't
like,
know if that's necessarily wrong. I think it is wrong.
But he was like, yeah, I took Vyvanse and everything was so much better, and like I guess I have ADHD.
No, you did performance enhancing drugs, and you're like Bradley Cooper and Limitless right now, and you don't want to come back to the realm of us mortals.
Yeah,
You know.
intellectual
That's okay.
steroids.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I
I gotta
gotta
feel that feeling. We can feel that together.
Well, I gotta just outcompete these robots and people on ADHD medication. So I gotta be on ADHD medication.
Do you feel in competition with anybody?
Yeah, I'm like everyone's your enemy. In a way.
In a way.
As soon as you start working from home, everyone becomes your enemy. Because you become like a faceless node that is only defined by your output.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, like because like if you go into an office, you start to like love the people in your office. You have like a relationship with them. You know them in real life. But when you start working from home, everyone's just a node. And then if you're just a node, you're competing with other nodes, and some of those nodes aren't even humans; they're
Your
robots.
sperm.
Some of them are corporations.
And YouTube AdSense revenue is the fucking egg.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're saying it jokingly, but
Exactly right.
yeah, correct.
Yeah.
What a nightmare.
I think
I'm very pro Patreon.
per page. Yeah.
That's a good service. People, you have to have a scale, right? If you're like a leftist or like critical of the system we live under, perhaps. And if you're not, I guess it's just always true. You have to have a scale, right? You have to know. So, for example, I don't think we're gonna have a communist revolution.
No.
But I don't.
hoping.
I'm okay with. I have great appreciation for Marx's critique of capital.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, money and value, they're supposed to have a kind of isomorphic relationship. They do not. In fact, sometimes money runs really far from value. That's what I think. So that also necessarily means, though, I prefer it when money is more aligned with value.
Yeah.
So maybe that means redistributing money. Who knows what it means, right?
Mm-hmm.
It means that I dislike some businesses more than others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like some services more than others. So you have to be able to think like this, right?
Yeah.
And then as such, though, I think that JJ has a pretty interesting critique, like advocation of like consumerism, that I thought was pretty impressive. And what like the McDonald's play place where you play the video game. You remember that?
The GameCube station?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? I played Pikmin 2 for the first time on one of those, right?
Yeah.
That's a very good memory of mine, right? And people will be like, "Oh my god, it's capitalism memory." I'm like, "No, it's a good memory."
Yeah.
And you were allowed, right? And with Patreon too, like they have to be like, I don't know, Patreon's a fantastic business. I think people, and it's because it connects, like it takes middlemen out of your connection to your audience. Like that's such a powerful thing. It makes money shift hands with the least amount of kind of parasitic exploitation.
Yeah.
Or less, right?
Less.
It's a way better incentive structure than AdSense. Oh my God, it's a better incentive structure than AdSense, right? So you have to be able to mark yourself out in this territory just to know what you value more than other things.
JJ's consumerism is impressive for a bit, and then he comes home and he's like, I just bought 3 Funko Pops, Greg. And I was like, I'm going to bite the heads off of them.
Fuck you, JJ. Fuck you. Never listen to you.
I love JJ.
Oh my god.
He was very nice.
He's
Very kind and nurturing.
Yeah.
Smart person.
When we had our podcast with JJ, half the comments were like, Greg's so mean to JJ. Why is he like this? And it's like, this is just how I am with JJ.
I thought we only use our YouTube names in this house.
JJ McCullough, Drag.
No,
is so
Drag. So you said
Yeah.
Greg.
Drag.
Who the fuck
well,
is
that's
that?
what the comments were saying.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the
You're like quoting. It's like
Yeah.
you can say the N-word if you're quoting a song or something.
I have no comment on that one. But yeah, like
I don't think that's true. Oh, okay, whatever.
no matter what, JJ's a nice person. He's good. He's a good man. But like I also like to really viciously tear at him. And I like
I think we like kind of mean like spiky humor, like in an intimate sense. You're pretty good at this. At my best, I'm good at this. At my worst, like I can be unlikable maybe. But like I would say that with people, when I'm in good standing with people and like there is, I think when there's like true knowledge of whatever. I'm saying that I like to rib people within a blanket of love.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm very spiky and I like jokes that are mean. But I don't like them when the person doesn't feel loved.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I don't have any respect for it, really. It makes me so sad, actually. But you're good at that, too, where, like, you can really poke people and make kind of risque jokes and be crazy because there's trust. I had this thing about Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle video I was going to make at one point. I still one day. But, like, like... I have critiques, but they're aesthetic critiques, right? So like The Closer, my problem with The Closer is that it wasn't constructed as to actually end any discourse, so it didn't live up to its intent. So it's an aesthetic critique, right? I'm like, you didn't do a good enough job at actually resolving your controversy here. You thought you were with your fucking anecdote about your one trans friend, and you failed. You didn't succeed, and you called it The Closer. So as an artist, I'm like, not very good closer you got there, right? And then he didn't stop with the jokes for that long. He started again recently, but. Anyways, to a similar degree, I have trans friends. They make like way worse jokes than that sometimes, right? But the thing is but the trust. It's like your audience doesn't trust you. And I don't know the solution to trying to get your audience to trust you is just keep doubling down on your fucking free speech. The trust is so important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
The trust that you want the best for people. The best for your audience.
Yes, and it's like a feeling. It's a feeling. Like we're going to be safe. if we go here.
Yeah, this argument is not going to end with us never speaking again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also knowledge. Like, I've noticed in my community, like, well, there's a ton of fucking they, thems and trans people and all sorts of people. And I've noticed there's also, like, more diversity in political opinion. I can see it in my DMs and, like, in the social pair requests, really. I can smell it, right? But the reason is because there's knowledge you're safe here. You know what I mean? Like, that's a pretty low bar in a way, I think. But it's like, your pronouns are going to be respected. I'm curious as to you. I don't hate any of you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you got to do some work to establish that kind of safe space. Safe space is a great thing to have. Because safe space, that's the thing. A safe space, I don't think, isn't that you encounter any discomfort. It's this trust. It's this love around it, right? Which is pretty hard to cultivate, actually. It's not so simple.
Yeah. I agree. It's hard not to alienate some... Yeah, when you're critiquing things, it's hard not to alienate some people.
It's hard. JJ's pretty impressive with this, right?
Yeah.
He's pretty impressive. Except with the Quebecois.
Oh, he's got... Keep talking to him. That's the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah?
He's like a layers and layers of idiosyncratic, like insane opinions at every step. But like it doesn't come across at all until you start talking to him more.
Oh my fucking god!
Like it's really hard to. The thing is about that, like it's hard to criticize people while making them feel safe. I do believe equality trumps all. I think that's a thing, right? Because if it makes you laugh, and if it like shines in some way,
yeah,
people are willing to forgive a lot. Disarming to people when they see quality. I don't think it's so subjective. Like it really works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is why I think strong critiques of Dave Chappelle doing like trans jokes. Some of them aren't funny. They reveal an ignorance about your subject matter. But like Bill Burr, for example,
yeah,
like he makes jokes about black people all the time, but like he kind of knows his shit and he does a good job in a way that it works. No one's mad at quality. That's the thing. It's like quality is we love it. We need it. So I think quality is the answer. Again, art is the answer. It's not about being diplomatic or democratic enough. It's like just be good.
Yeah.
That's it's you stop trying to be right. Just be good.
Yeah.
That's so
one of the first things we said to each other.
Really?
It's like basically along those lines as being right is less important than being like beautiful and good and
well, right is so over.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy is so over, right?
It's over for right cells. Right cells are seething over good cells.
Good chads.
Good chads. Yeah. Beautiful chads.
Beauty chads.
Beauty chads versus right cells. Yeah.
That's insane.
I know, because I feel like even the stuff I do, it's more lighthearted, but there's so much I want to critique.
You're already good, though. That's the thing, though. You watch your videos that you just talk fine about being like a Jordan Peterson fan.
Yeah.
Or that you were or whatever, right? But like, I don't know anyone that would be mad at your shit, because this is the thing. Well, I think there's an exhaustion of people by policing people by what they maybe were in the past, or even just the association game. So I think there's exhaustion, and then also it's a good video, and you clearly like care, and you have like life in your eyes.
Well, I really want to I want to critique. There's behaviors I want to critique, and even like as far as like people who represent those behaviors I want to critique, but as a symptom of something that they're a victim of.
Precisely, that's a spiritual critique in a way. That's systemic critique. That's what we mean by a systemic racism or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Is in theory, and I think it's a good theory, and again, you can't just abandon these things. You have to redeem them, right? It's like it's to not attack the individual. It's kind of a deterministic stance, right? Which I like, because there's a lot of empathy under determinism, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, you're participating in a pattern, and I don't think you're an evil person. I don't care if you're an evil person. I care about quality, and if you're subject to a pattern I don't think is of highest quality, I would like to put you onto a better pattern. But also, we all have to come forward and say what we did if we want to fight something systematic, right? So we can't just keep crucifying individuals. Otherwise, you're going to make enemies.
Yeah.
And not enemies against an idea, but enemies against each other.
Well, that's like where you were saying.
I'm like a fucking hippie right now. I'm so like.
Well, when you're talking about drama, and it's like drama with specific people, or like weird internet drama, and then like something actually happens, and you're like, oh wait, I don't care about this.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? It's when you're just critiquing individuals versus critiquing something greater. You're just critiquing individuals, and you're obsessed with individuals' drama. It doesn't go anywhere. You don't actually care about it.
Right. Well, there's meaning. It's something almost normative about it too. It's deceptive. I think dealing with drama and individuals feels deceptively meaningful. Like it feels like you're doing something. And if something that you can do with social media that feels immediate, you know what I mean? You can kind of deal with the individual, like litigate it or argue or I don't know what. But this thing of like meaningful things is what do you care about existing even if you don't exist, and are you contributing to it type thing. Like I don't know. I guess I really care for there to be less like I care a lot about representation and like inclusivity and diversity. Those matter a lot to me. I think they're good. I want them to exist if I don't exist, right? I don't know. To fight that in the realm of individuals, I'm not really sure. I don't know. That seems like a systematic. I don't know if I further my cause by labeling an individual as like racist or bigoted or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm succeeding in manifesting that thing I find so meaningful in the world just by being like, I think what I'm mostly doing is doing like social media attention sucking drama about shoe on head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not meaningful.
Yeah. I agree.
Am I in dangerous territory here?
No,
not at all.
I think
Okay.
you're just spitting facts as you do.
Okay. I can't tell.
Yeah,
sometimes.
you're spitting.
No, I don't think you've ever said anything wrong in your life. I'd be like shocked if you ever said anything wrong. Be like, that's not right.
The only reason is because I'm reclusive. Like, because this is the thing. In order to be right about stuff, you have to go away sometimes. If you're here all the time, you're going to be wrong.
It's true.
That's the problem, right? If Jordan wrote Maps of Meaning, fucked off, and then like worked on another big textbook and came back with that, did another,
So
he'd be more right.
What are you doing a press tour for then? There's just more opportunities to be wrong.
I think that maybe I'm like dipping my toes back into being perceived because I've been like a hermit for a year.
Oh yeah, high-end trait withdrawal, a subtrait of neuroticism.
Yeah.
Many such cases.
I believe that I needed to go away to think to see if I had anything more to say or if I was okay with speaking and being perceived. I needed to recoup my bravery and I don't know what exactly. I needed to go into creative illness. But now I'm starting to realize that I'm going to be back in a pretty major way, probably, with a 4-hour Jordan Peterson video. That's clicks.
Oh, that's going to be
and
seminal.
also, it's the first video I've made that's like art to me. Like, it's like, I really sat on this one. It's like an album. It's like I crafted this.
This is you transcending being a critic and being an artist?
I don't think I was ever a critic.
No?
No.
This is like full art, though.
This is art.
Is there a dichotomy
This is
between-
everything to me. This is me pouring, I'm putting my art in it. I have like music in it. It's like a philosophical treatise. I tried to make sure it's actually like hard to argue with. It's a comment on culture. It is self-expression. It's business. So there's a lot in there.
But then
how is
that different from the previous videos? If the previous video, is there like a continuum between art and critic and this is more towards art, or is it something entirely different?
No, that's not the continuum I'm thinking
Okay.
of. I just don't think of like my YouTube videos. I haven't thought of them as like my art. Actually, it's been the reason I think I'm kind of good at them is because I let go of my standards in some sense. Like, not really, but like I don't try to make like.
But there's art to them. There's art to all your videos.
Of course, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, like my Tangled video or whatever. I don't aesthetically love every moment.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I had perfect control over an art exhibit, I wouldn't want them shown in a museum and be like CJ's art.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
But you would get this in a museum, this Jordan Peterson video.
Unfortunately, probably for all the discomfort I would feel with it. Yeah, I mean, like this was definitely emblematic of who I am in some major way.
Okay.
And then after that, it's consecutive big videos that I've been working on also about big topics. So there's like a trifecta of like kind of important shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exciting.
So I'm trying to
big things coming.
Get myself back into that headspace. So I don't know why I'm doing the press tour, but part of it is to see if I make sense after all this time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I think I might.
If you spend too much time alone, you don't hear yourself talk. You're like, do I make sense anymore?
If you spend too much time offline and don't remind the universe you exist every other week to get like micro doses of attention, like you maybe save your soul, but like you definitely get more anxious about whether or not people give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
You gotta trade some portion of your soul for that.
It is very impressive to like exist in the online space, but then treat it. I always say there's a crisis of cool. No one's cool anymore. You watch like an interview with Lou Reed. That motherfucker's cool. David Bowie's cool.
Who's Lou Reed? Is this a white person rock thing or is this a cool
It's,
person?
Essentially a white person.
Velvet Underground. Lead singer. Yeah.
Sorry. So this is funny, but this is white people rock stuff. I don't know. It's so funny because it's like this cultural canon. I know hip hop. Like, you know what I mean? If you reference like any like normal like hip hop thing that everyone would know, right?
Yeah.
I know those guys. But so then when I was in music school, people started asking me to sing. I had to sing something by Van Morrison. I sang Caravan, and I was like, so I've never heard Van Morrison. Can you send me this song? And he's like, you haven't heard of Van Morrison?
That's impressive.
And I'm like, that's because that's like a white guy rock thing. It's like Led Zeppelin. Of course you know Led Zeppelin.
I feel like I proudly don't know anything. I don't know any of these white guys. I don't know any of these rappers. I don't know nothing.
It's just funny. There's a ton of white dude rock stuff. I think it's plenty fine. It's good, but I don't know it like culturally. You know what I mean?
I feel like Lou Reed's more recognized as like a queer icon than
cool, yeah, because Velvet Underground's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's not like
Trying to
dad
think,
rock
trying to
necessarily.
think of like a hip hop example. Kendrick Lamar's cool.
Only because he doesn't talk on social media.
Exactly.
That's how to be cool now.
That's how you
have
be
to go
cool.
away,
That's
come
what I'm
back with
saying.
something
Yeah,
fun.
it's like
Bo Burnham's cool. doesn't have
he
social
goes
media.
away. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. These are the only cool people we
He
have.
has the privilege of going away.
Yeah.
That's true too.
Not
That's
everyone
true
has
too.
that privilege.
That's true too.
But-
But that's why I think Patreon's maybe a pretty good service.
Yeah.
Well,
Kurt,
anyways, yeah.
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain is cool.
I think Kurt Cobain's cool.
Is he alive?
No, he's dead.
I'm just
Killed-
joking.
killed him,
Yeah,
okay.
I know. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that. I know that one.
One thing I think about is like, if I live in a world where I don't have the luxury of disappearing for a year,
Yes.
how do I make that work for me? And the answer is, and this is the
That's a
video
good
I'm
question.
working
That's a
on,
good question.
video that's going to come out soon on my channel, which I've been working on for a very long time, is this idea of like, well, these are my chains. This is the scenario I'm in. I don't have the luxury of working on 2 years for a Netflix special like Bo Burnham. I got to just pump straight out.
Or
and
me.
what's that
I'm
gonna
So fortunate. I can't believe it.
what's that gonna look like?
Well,
So,
I think that there's a couple good steps to take.
and also maybe I like it. I should add that as well. Maybe I like being perceived all the time.
Yeah,
Like
fair enough.
maybe I can make that work for me.
I think the key would be that there's a lot of what people perceive as what they have to do. Ro Ramden, do you know who that is?
No.
It's a YouTuber. She's and a musician. But she was texting me one time. I don't know if it was forever ago or whatever. But she's like in a crisis because the thing about all your favorite YouTubers is they come to me when they have crises of art. And so Ro came to me and was like, I'm feeling like I have to exist on TikTok for my job, but it's killing my soul and it's not good for my art and I don't like it.
Mhm.
And I was like, Ro, how much money did you make from YouTube last month? And I was told, and then I was like, Ro, how much money did you make on TikTok in the last year?
So true.
What?
So
$300.
true.
It was something. It was like a couple hundred because of sponsorships or something like that.
Yeah.
So
The
true.
fuck? People think their job is a lot more than it is.
People think
And that's a pretty interesting thing.
It's-
Like
it's
they
this-
think it's being present all the time. How much money does Jordan make on Twitter at this point? He can world tour the rest of his life, make tons of fucking money, right? He's a millionaire, multi-millionaire.
he gets nothing from Twitter.
Nothing. It's just taking from you, right? Your money you're making is for Twitter, and it's making the world worse. So the thing about like, oh yeah, you have to exist publicly. That's true, but not as true as you think it is. There's tons of shit that makes you no money. So I post actually a lot, but on Patreon.
Yeah.
I have a paywall, right? And I have more freedom there. I have more trust there. There's people willing to like invest a little bit in me, so they're willing to give me a little bit like stronger graces too. I know people that are quite invested in me. So I like that better than just flinging myself out fruitlessly, half thought out on Twitter and then getting destroyed for what? You know what I mean? So I just encourage people to try to invest in those areas. That's all. Because the other thing is that part of the reason I'm so fortunate to have my Patreon support is because I refuse to take sponsors, and you know what I mean? I am this way, and people are willing to invest in that, and I make the relationship very clear, you know? And I think that helps. And also I started it right away. Like Patreon, first video I made, because it's already a business model, so just do that. And then explicitly state my preference for it. And then work really hard and think really hard at what makes Patreon worth it.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
I've ended this conversation 5 minutes closer to deleting all my social media and Patreon paywalling everything.
Good.
Yeah.
I think it's smart. I think we
yeah.
should pay for the internet because that's the opposite of the advertising model, is the subscription model.
Yeah.
Right? That's how to beat the internet. If Elon really cared, then he would just make the whole thing like Twitter Blue. Be like, you can't even post, you can't even touch it unless you pay money. Just subscription model tomorrow. That's how you move fast, break things, and change the world for the better.
$1.99. Something super cheap.
$1.99 more. I say more. Yeah, I would say.
Pay $5.99 for
You know the truth, and I'm a little bit extreme at this point. And I'm also, by the way, I'm very open to like the debate about it. I'm happy to, because I want to, in terms of kill the internet, I want to get involved like politically and campaign for the things that we can, if they're good, right?
Yeah.
But really, here's my hard extreme thing: is I'm like, no, it's like something like a license, really. It's like $100 for like the year or something like that, and it's registered with the government, and you can't be anonymous. I think,
Yeah.
especially for these platforms of public health to
Yeah.
some degree, like Twitter and stuff like that, I think we should fucking nationalize them to some degree. I'm serious. Like,
Yeah.
that's where it's like, am I still lefty? I mean, well, I'm Stalinistic
Maybe a
enough for
different
some
kind
of
of
that.
lefty, yeah.
Depends what you want to. Depends what you want. Depends what you mean by that. I don't care.
The lefty that conservatives think exists on the liberal left, but it's like they don't actually want to nationalize social media. But,
No, well, yeah. Oh, we shouldn't get into politics.
but that's a take I've heard a lot, and I think it might be where we're headed.
I think that's necessary, but in order to do that, democracy's weird. You need to convince people. So that's why, again, art, stories, that's it. Because you need people to democratically desire that. That's the war I that you should be fighting is a war of persuasion and beauty, right? If you care about democracy, you gotta, and that's the truth. You actually have to change people. You can't just strong arm them all the time into moral positions, because if you do that, then they might dismantle it.
Chip in my hand. The chip I log into all my social media with, and it guarantees that I'm of age and blah blah blah, and I'm paying my money or whatever. Then I get my UBI at the end of the month, boop, boop, extra $1,000 Yang bucks, and the government doesn't use it for anything nefarious.
It doesn't sound so bad, does it? Welfare state is a pretty powerful tool. I like it. That's redistributing finances right there.
Yeah.
That's taxation. The other thing is like
The obvious counter argument is the government would definitely use it for something nefarious. They'd be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you didn't do your civic duty this month. No UBI for you.
a lot of the people's like not a lot of people have solutions. And when you start to get into solutions, you get into politics, and then when you get into politics, you start to get into reality.
Ugh.
You know what I mean? And you got to try to
Gross.
move things through reality, and it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
But
Better to remain in the psychic realm and just talk about ideas all day.
just talk about ideas and get people really like riled up about like, extreme political ideologies. that
I don't
they
know what
have
to do
no
with this.
capability of manifesting in their lives.
It's like a hard on. with nowhere to put it.
But yeah, that's the
Yeah.
it's the subscription thing though, right? Yeah, I would charge a lot, right? I think people would be willing to pay for it, and to the extent that they wouldn't be, I don't think we'd lose anything, to be honest, right? And then there's always going to be some alternative media thing that comes out that's like wildly anonymous, but let's see it compete with like where if things get better. I don't know, maybe I'm hopelessly naive and utopian and thinking that people are so tired and like emotionally, spiritually crave like something more beautiful, that like if like a social media platform was made more beautiful somehow, or if everyone divested, like it'd be good. Not that they just reinvent 4chan and just start from scratch again. I think like, I don't know, but I don't know. I at least if you can't even offer people the option, Substack was looking pretty good. Then they introduced notes. They're trying to steal Twitter's market. Capitalism, democracy. It's difficult out here. But you have to try to manifest actual alternatives. And sometimes that means demarcating yourself quite a bit. And this is the weird thing. Again, it's like weirdly coming around to like Jordan Peterson clean your room type beat, right? Because at this point, I'm just like, well, I can do a conference. I can draw people out and just lock their phones out. And then that's a good way to, you can get the library represented there. You can get charitable donations. You can get people to learn life skills and meet people eye to eye and reduce the incredible social damage that's done to people by like having their phone on them while they're living, you know? That's as far as I can go. But that's real. At least that's something.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of just like, I could post even more stuff about how bad the internet is on the internet like a fucking idiot. Right?
Yeah.
That is the so fucking tough, man.
It's because it's like
It is tough. I don't blame people for this. I believe in collective action, systemic issues. I don't believe it's an individual responsibility. That's a weird thing. Jenny Odell is like classic like liberal professor that writes about like the attention economy. She actually comes down, also cites William James, because everyone based does at some point. But she also comes down to individual will. It's kind of interesting, and that's Jordan Peterson's argument, right? It's about your mind, your attention, your discipline. You. I don't believe this at all. I think you need cultural change.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
People aren't in control of that shit. I can't control my phone use, and I'm me.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't either.
The fuck? I have this idea for a product. Can I tell you? This is a good idea. I have this idea for a product. It's like a phone box. I haven't thought of the good name for it yet.
Okay.
But it's like, it's this, I want it to be kind of artisan. So it's like this like wooden, like glossy thing has like a sigil on the top of it. And it's very nice. And it has like either opens like in a slot or something like that. But there's like these velvet like rectangular slots in.
Yeah.
The point is you put it in your living room. And then it feels really good to put your phone. It goes like, you know what I mean? And it's the box. So anyways, if I came here and you had the phone box, we would all just do that. Because
Yeah.
that makes sense, right?
Like
Yeah.
ritualistic.
Or dinner time. It feels nice
Yeah.
even, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that's right. And then as you go to bed, obviously you should put it in the box, right? You shouldn't be the first thing you look at in the morning, right?
Yeah.
But now it has a place. So that's another solution.
That's a good
I
one.
want to sell that through Kill the Internet. I want to manufacture that.
That's a good one. It's aesthetically
I like
there.
in the box.
You like one of those timer ones?
No, before I go to bed, I have like a cash box with a key.
So it's similar.
Yeah, so my alarm goes off, I hear it through the box to wake up, but then the key is in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So that's just make you walk across the room though. What you needed is an alarm clock.
Well, I needed to wake, yeah.
Yeah.
I bought an alarm clock. That's the thing. That's another.
I
Kill
bought-
the Internet.
I bought
like,
3 alarm
I have
clocks
both.
Yeah.
because
You're-
one didn't work
So you need 3 set at different times?
in different places.
Yeah, I do that as well.
You two are such men sometimes. That seems like a man thing to do. Put the alarm clock across the room so you have to like, and then you get it and you're like, I can do this.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's basically that's it.
Just slap myself in the face.
Yeah.
I have a phone box as well. It's more what you're describing. You like type in a time and it locks it in.
Yes.
Only thing that works for me is I leave all my screens here at the end of the night, so I don't doom scroll at 2 a.m.
Yes.
And it's physically
That's
away
true.
from
I
me.
think it should be physically because there's a study. Height has compiled a lot of useful data about this, but there's like if your phone is even on your desk, like so they did a test with people that had phone on their desk, like face down, silenced. People with the phone in their backpack, people with the phone in the hall. It's not ringing. It's just when the phone is physically visible in your field of view, you perform worse on a test.
Yeah.
If it's deep in your mind, it's very deep in your mind. It destroys your fucking mind, right? It needs to be physically away from you.
Yeah.
There's no individual willpower here. There's not a better social media site. It
Yeah.
has to be away from you. You can't live like this.
You cannot conceptualize this as a willpower issue if everyone has it.
Exactly, because then that's the inversion of significance. It ceases to be like, because then we're just sitting here bitching about how no one has individual willpower. That's the opposite of what individual willpower means, right? Like that's means it's a constraint beyond our control, and we need to have a systemic change. So the box is good because but also the timed box, you have the plastic bins and shit. Yeah. They're ugly. I don't want to use it.
Yeah.
They're ugly.
They are ugly.
You need to give people a piece of furniture and give a cultural story around it.
Yeah.
That feels good to use.
Straight facts.
People used to do it. Everyone put our phones in the basket around the dinner table. You ever done that with people?
No.
We used to do that. Like everyone has to put their phone in the center of the table so we don't look at it. I did that in high school actually. It was brand new, the phone thing, and we were just like, "This is fucking us up. We're gonna do this at least."
Yeah.
Take the fucking phone box with you out to dinner.
Yeah.
You can't have it in your pocket.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that about myself.
I agree. I think otherwise I just think like we mystify the problem. We're like, how do we fix this? It's just no phone is the answer. There's no solution with phone.
We've had to think about it a lot because there's a lot of holes in the solutions, and I get it, right? You know, and Height, I like that Height has so many tangible solutions, but his is not only a flip phone until they're in high school. In a high school smartphone, but then he also advocates for smartphone is locked up for all of the high school day. And a big impediment to these things is parental anxiety, actually. It's the parents don't want their kid to be without the phone. That's the real
Parents
problem.
want to text them all the time?
Yeah, they want to make sure they're safe.
Right.
And and then another impediment is the parents don't want the kids to feel left out. So that's why he advocates for collective action.
Yeah, it has to be cultural.
There's a site Wait Till 8 where it's like it gives you programming. I don't know if I agree with all this stuff, like the initiatives. I don't know. But it gives you programming so you can agree with a community of adults around you. We're all going to wait until 8th grade to give them social media. They're not allowed to. And that means there's no like, oh, my kid's going without it. It's like these are the kinds of solutions, right? They're very intense. They're intense.
Well, like my parents were born in the 50s.
Yes.
And I didn't have a phone until I was 17.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have a screen on me until I was 17.
I had
Everyone
a
else
flip
I know,
phone.
No, nothing.
You had nothing? How old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay, we're the same age.
Yeah, so like until I was 17, I feel like that is an advantage I've had.
Yes.
Retrospectively, like there was never a point in my life till I was 17 years old where I was like looking at a screen constantly.
Yeah, my parents were trepidatious with me. They gave me an hour of computer time, quote unquote, like throughout I say quote unquote because we stretch it and stuff like that. But like we had an hour of computer time, right? But the world is different though, right? Because if I was raising kids, I couldn't do what your parents did with you. It's not the same, right? Yeah. Even down to like we watch movies on Netflix, right? When you finish a VCR, the tape is spent. You take it out. Yeah. There's an end to that activity. You know what happens when you finish a Netflix movie?
What's next?
Watch next. Immediately. Yeah. Everything, right?
Everything
I have no idea how I'd
scroll.
handle a kid these days. It'd be really scary and difficult.
Well, especially like I grew up in a really, really small town. Like there's no public transit. If I was going somewhere, like the school bus took me or my friend's parents did. So like my parents didn't worry about that. I couldn't imagine living in Toronto and like my kid getting on the fucking TTC and going somewhere.
It's scarier. It's scarier, but it's statistically safer than it was when our parents did it. And Height's frequent demonstration of this is like, you know, people used to let kids go do tasks at the age of 6, and now it's raised to 10. It's just happened. People got more afraid. And the connectivity kind of allows you to be more afraid. So we got to retrain ourselves on the separation anxiety to some degree and the trust of people. So again, systematic issues, right? Systemic solutions. So Height had a really good one where it's like, what if there was a course in school, right? And I think they have tried this. But if there's a course in school where you have to get your grade 1 to do an activity on their own, that's it.
Go pick up groceries.
Yep, pick up just milk.
Yeah.
Just here's your job. Here's your job. You're gonna be scared. I'm gonna be scared. Here's $20. I just need you to walk to the grocery store alone, completely alone. Buy milk, come back, right? And then we'll talk about it and stuff, right? And 100% across the board, right? The first time, it is very scary for the kid. It's terrifying for the adult, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually not that scary for the kid because it's a fucking adventure.
Yeah.
And they come back and they succeed all the time, obviously, because it's not hard.
Yeah.
And they're not like less protected than they are going to be in life.
Yeah.
Right? Like all the bad things are going to happen. There's probably going to be a family member anyways, right? So it's like, the point is they come back and then they're over the fucking moon with their own agency and power. They're so excited. They cannot stop talking about it. And the anxiety of the parents is lessened.
That sounds really good.
I'm giving just Jonathan Haidt talking points here.
Yeah.
Because I'm very excited for his book that's coming out this year.
Right.
Because it's all on this issue that I came to from a completely different angle, right? It's very powerful though. But these are the types of things. It's like these are systemic. These are school oriented.
Is this something we would do? This is something we would do in school.
I think this is school. I think school is pretty important. For some of
Okay,
this
because
stuff.
that sounds like that would make school far more based, in my opinion. That sounds.
I
pretty
also
good.
think they should teach like dialectical behavioral therapy in school, like fundamental therapy stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So I have some advocations for school. I don't generally care that much about education. I did independently, but you start to talk about like big ideas, you kind of touch everything accidentally.
Yeah,
You know.
that sounds much better than my memories of school. If we had even a little bit of that, that would be.
It's
way better.
worse now. The bullying is worse.
Hmm.
Like when you have all over the weekend, like these people have access to. The anxiety is a million times worse. The social media, your status is scarier.
Yeah.
People don't even, and also people going on their phones instead of talking to each other. They don't even look at each other in the eye.
Yeah.
They're 15. What chance do they have? Silicon Valley spending all fucking day engineering the most addictive cocktail nightmare they possibly can.
Race to
And
the
we're just
bottom of the
beaming it
brainstem.
into their fucking skulls. And then we're like, can you believe these kids on TikTok? Can you believe us? We let this happen. The fuck?
Yeah.
Unacceptable. And at this point, we know too much. Did that die?
Oh, shit.